Chapter 11:12. That's right. She didn't have a soul stone, but that didn't mean that Yi Baiming didn't have one. Yinsheng thought about it again. Although Yi Baiming was a quiet person, this guy was able to sneak away a large amount of purple gold, or when he was still a nosy prince. His net worth was probably much higher than hers. He had plundered countless people and magical beasts. In his early years, he had even specially killed blood cloud beasts on the mainland. Perhaps he had a soul stone on him. Bobo Sheep also specially reminded Yunsheng that even if he didn't have a soul stone, the Qilin boy still had a lot of Qilin King's blood crystals on him. This was something that Bobo Sheep had heard about when it pestered Yi Baiming to ask for a king-level magical bee soul stone. In terms of value, the value of a Qilin King's blood crystal and a king-level magical bee soul stone could be calculated at a ratio of 2 to 1. It was a pity that Bobo Sheep couldn't absorb the Qilin King's blood crystal because of its physique. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been drooling over the king-level magical beast soul stone. Yunsheng followed the principle of shared property between husband and wife and released the gold coins without hesitation. Bobo Sheep's usual ideas were mostly bad ones. 9 out of 10 of them were unreliable. But this time, it had accidentally found the right path. Yunsheng's current trouble could only be solved by Yi Baiming. As the former Prince Regent of Zhou State, Yi Baiming was sitting on more than 50% of the wealth of the everlasting Chamber of Commerce. In his early years, he was also the boss of the Wanlong gambling house. His net worth was more than Yunsheng's. But what Yunsheng didn't expect was that Night Fox didn't think so when she said shared property between husband and wife. This wasn't to say that Yi Baiming was stingy. It was just that he was a little depressed. Ever since he came to the underworld, Yi Baiming had been locked in the beast language ring by Yunsheng because of the brand of a felon on his body. This trial lasted for several days. Among them, there was even a potential admirer, Yi Baiming. Yi Baiming saw everything clearly in the beast language ring. Even Yi Baiming had heard the old man Shun Jizi's half extortion, half blackmail, half demand for 100 king-grade soul stones. Therefore, when Yunsheng asked to borrow his soul stone, Yi Baiming pretended to make things difficult for her. Yi Baiming was different from the prodigal woman, Yunsheng. When he entered the Qilin King's tomb, he also found a lot of Qilin blood crystals. It was just that Yunsheng let her magical beasts take all the celestial fox blood crystals. Yi Baiming, on the other hand, used a special method to preserve all the Qilin blood crystals in the Qilin King's tomb. At Yi Baiming's current cultivation level, he already had the body of a Qilin. The Qilin blood crystals were of little use to him. It didn't matter whether he kept the Qilin blood crystals or not. But when he saw the longing look in Yunsheng's eyes, he couldn't help but have the thought of teasing her. Night Fox, you can't be so stingy. Usually, when a man pursues a woman, he needs a token of love or something. Just give me those Qilin blood crystals. Yunsheng pondered. Wasn't that how it was portrayed in ancient dramas? She suddenly realized that she didn't seem to have gained anything from Night Fox. She had kissed and slept with him. If she didn't get anything in return, wouldn't she be at a disadvantage? Dear Master, the Qilin boy said that it's no problem to give you the Qilin blood crystals. But a token of love is a matter of reciprocity. You have to give him something in return. Popping Sheep acted as a temporary translator. Stinky Fox, so stingy. What does he want in return? Yunsheng was depressed. She flipped through her entire beast language ring and finally found something suitable to give to Yi Baiming. That was the heavy armor she got from the mixed blood elf weapon refiner Moke before she joined the mainland's elite magic caster camp. According to Moke, this armor was very suitable for demon warriors. Of course, the quality of the armor was not suitable for Yi Baiming now. Yunsheng thought for a while and decided to refine the armor again before giving it to Yi Baiming. Her current elven hellfire could indeed raise the quality of her armor to a whole new level. After expressing her intention, Yi Baiming agreed and gave those Qilin blood crystals to Yunsheng. Yunsheng counted carefully and found that there were hundreds of King Qilin blood essences. She instantly beamed and kept all the Qilin blood crystals for her own use. The old man in the Divine Ability Pavilion, Shun Jizi, was just about to continue dozing off when he heard a clattering sound. A cluster of sparkling soul stones flashed, and his sleepiness disappeared in an instant. King Qilin blood crystals that were comparable to king-level soul stones. Shenjizi narrowed his eyes and carefully examined the King Qilin blood crystals. As he looked, he clicked his tongue in wonder. It's actually a blood crystal condensed from the flesh of the King Qilin, who had the strongest physical body among the ancient Bakr orcs. I haven't seen such a pure blood crystal for many years. It's full of evil energy. It's really intoxicating. Hee, you really can't judge a book by its cover. Miss, you can actually take out so many king-level soul stones at once. The shriveled old man laughed so hard that his eyes could not be seen. As long as you pay 200 Qilin blood crystals of the same quality, I will sell the map of the Ghost King's cave to you. Yunsheng was very straightforward. She took out 200 Qilin blood crystals. Seeing this, Shunjizi hurriedly spread his hands and wanted to keep all 200 Qilin blood crystals. Unexpectedly, just as he was about to reach out, he heard a whoosh. An unknown pink object fell from the sky and crushed all the king-level Qilin blood crystals. Hey, you fat sheep, move away. Shinjizi was anxious. Wait, old man. Before I buy the information, I also have a piece of information to sell to you. Yunsheng blinked and smiled like a flower. Shinjizi felt a chill on his neck. He had a bad feeling about this. Who am I? I don't have any information. Why would I need you to sell me? Shinjizi pulled a long face. This little girl from the mortal world was very well informed. He, Shunjizi, dared to say that he was third in the underworld. As for the first and second, there was no way. Old man Shinjizi, don't be in such a hurry to bite me to death. This information is neither big nor small. It concerns the reputation of the Magical Powers Pavilion. Didn't Senior sell a piece of information to the 100 Rin sect half a month ago? Yunsheng asked with a smile. Her eyes sparkled like the stars in the sky. Shinjizi's face twitched. The Magical Powers Pavilion's transactions have always been confidential. It's best that you don't ask who I sold the information to. Old man Shinjizi, selling information is naturally none of my business. But if the information you sold is fake, then it's a hindrance to me. After all, I have to spend 100 king-level demon B soul stones to buy information about the Ghost King cave. If the information is wrong, wouldn't I have wasted my money? Yunsheng mocked. Buy it if you want. The Magical Powers Pavilion won't do business with you. Shinjizi, that old man, had some temper. He waved his hand and was about to send her away. Chapter 11:13. Shinjizi was certain that his deal with the 10,000 Yama sect was so secretive that it was impossible for this human and beast to know about it. Yunsheng had also expected Shinjizi to deny it. She gave a sheep a look, and the sheep obeyed. The Magical Abilities Pavilion accepted bribes and colluded with the 10,000 Yama sect to frame the sect master of the 100 Rin sect, Inghai. Popping Sheep immediately jumped up and howled as it flew towards the door. It even started to shout loudly. Shut up. Don't make a fuss. Shinjizi didn't expect Yunsheng to do this. His face immediately turned red. Shinjizi was an old scoundrel. He didn't expect to meet Yunsheng and the sheep who were even more scoundrels than scoundrels today. Popping Sheep was used to being lawless, and its loud voice was not inferior to its crying. If it continued to shout for a while longer, it was guaranteed that the entire Silent Ink City would know about the collusion between the Myriad Yama sect and the Abilities Pavilion. Shintongzi's face was red with anger. His originally sleepy eyes suddenly changed. His body flashed strangely, and like a hunting eagle, his 5 fingers turned into golden hooks and grabbed at baby sheep. Bubbling Sheep looked plump and fluffy, but its movements weren't slow. Its pink figure jumped and bumped about in the small divine secrets pavilion. Shinjizi actually couldn't catch it. The scariest thing was that the Popping Sheep's strength was astonishing. With every bump and jump, the shop was in shambles. There were holes everywhere. If this continued, before he could catch the sheep, his Mystique Pavilion would be torn apart. Shinjizi was extremely vexed. He could tell that the pink demonic beast wasn't an ordinary demonic beast. He probably couldn't catch up to its speed. Shinjizi sighed inwardly. He had been blinded by greed. One day, he accidentally got drunk and accepted money from C.I. Lai from the 10,000 Yama sect. He helped C.I. Lai once by selling him fake information. In the end, he fell into someone's trap. Stop. Tell your demonic beast to stop. This old man can't take it anymore. Tell me, what do you want? Shinjizi's face was ashen. Only now did he realize that this man and beast from a mortal world were not as simple as he thought. She originally wanted to blackmail Yin Sheng, but in the end, she was caught by her. Senior Shinjizi, please don't worry. As long as you tell me the truth about the Ghost King Cave and promise that you won't leak the secret of the Ghost King Cave in the future, I will keep this secret. I won't give you any less than 1 Qilin blood crystal. Yin Sheng knew that when dealing with people like Shinjizi, she had to be careful. She couldn't force him into a corner, but at the same time, she had to give him an appropriate amount of sweetness. Only by relaxing and relaxing could she ensure that Shinjizi would cooperate with her happily. As expected, after hearing Yin Sheng's conditions, Shinjizi's gloomy face turned bright. He immediately returned to his previous smiling face. Don't worry, don't worry. This old man promises you that after I take your soul stone, I won't sell the information to a third party. The clues about the Ghost King Cave will definitely be true. Only then did Yin Sheng pass the Qilin blood crystal to Shinjizi. After Shinjizi checked it, he cleared his throat. As for the specific location of the Beast King Cave, this old man has already drawn a map. As long as you follow the map, you'll be able to find the location of the Ghost King Cave. Shinjizi handed a hand-drawn map to Yin Sheng. Yin Sheng looked at it. The Ghost King Cave indicated on the map was located at a place called Ghost Water Stream. Ghost Water Stream was different from Jimo region, which was right next to Dongwei Gate. It was right next to Shiwei Gate, which was also the underworld. It was the place with the most Yin souls. However, little girl, seeing that you're as cunning as this old man will also tell you an additional clue. Don't worry, this clue is free of charge. There's a demonic beast waiting outside Ghost Water Stream. That demonic beast used to be the Netherworld Ghost King's mount. It's said to be a demigod, rank demonic beast. You have to think carefully. Shinjizi advised from the side. Many thanks for Senior Shinjizi's reminder. This one must go to Ghost Water Stream. You just have to remember our agreement. We'll meet again someday. After Yin Sheng received the map, she left the Divine Ability Pavilion. After Yin Sheng left, Shinjizi happily placed the 200 Qilin blood crystals into a huge chest. There were already a large amount of soul stones inside. If one looked carefully, there were at least several tens of thousands of them. Hee, it's just enough for 100 people. Little girl, this old man has kept our agreement and will not release any more information. However, the information that has been sold in the past 20 years will not be included in this list. In the underworld, only the two of you dare to bargain with this old man. Ghost Water Stream is not that easy to enter. I hope you'll be lucky enough to come back alive. After Yin Sheng and Baby Sheep received the news of the Beast King Cave, they returned to the 100th Thunder Gate. Just as they arrived at the gate, they saw Yingyu giving instructions to a few disciples. When she saw Yin Sheng, Yingyu's expression became a little strange. After dawdling for a long time, Yingyu walked up and said bashfully, "Thank you for saving my father. However, I still don't like you." The poison in Yinghai's body was almost completely removed. Only now did Yingyu know that Yin Sheng was really an amazing physician. Thinking about her attitude towards Yin Sheng, Yingyu couldn't help but feel guilty. The reason why Yingyu disliked Yin Sheng was because she had always been secretly in love with her senior brother Ying Chuan. When she saw that Ying Chuan had feelings for Yin Sheng, she couldn't help but feel jealous of Yin Sheng. However, Yin Sheng just smiled. Yingyu's temper reminded her of her good friend Dongwang Ling Er. She was a typical person who clearly distinguished between love and hate. All of her likes and dislikes were written all over her face. It was also because of this that although Yin Sheng was offended by Yingyu a few times, she still couldn't hate Yingyu. Miss Yingyu, I think I should clarify with you that I have nothing to do with your senior brother Ying. I'm already married. Yingyu was stunned. She looked at Yin Sheng with a face full of disbelief. She could clearly see that Yun Sheng's hairstyle was obviously that of an unmarried woman. Besides, if she really had a husband, why would she come to a place like the underworld alone? Seeing that Ingyu didn't believe her, Yun Sheng let Dollar out and told Ingyu about her and Yi Baiming. Ingyu was confused. She looked at Dollar, who was standing beside Yun Sheng. Yun Sheng was obviously a human, and Dollar was obviously a magical beast. The two of them, but at the same time, Ingyu saw something unusual in Dollar's eyes. Although Dollar didn't speak, his eyes were always on Yun Sheng. Ingyu couldn't be more familiar with that gaze, because she had always been looking at senior brother Ing Chuan with the same gaze. The doubt in her eyes and the jealousy in her heart gradually disappeared. Ingyu couldn't help but be moved by the relationship between Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming. Only then did the two of them bury the hatchet and become familiar with each other. Yun Sheng took the opportunity to ask about Jima Prefecture and the underworld. Chapter 1114. Between Yun Sheng and Ingyu, after the former enmity was buried, they quickly became familiar with each other. Once they started chatting, there was a lot to talk about. Women were really strange creatures. A moment ago, they were shouting to kill each other. Now, they were acting like best friends. Dollar, who was lying on one side, comfortably rested his head on Yun Sheng's lap and rolled his eyes. Perhaps Ingyu felt guilty for misunderstanding Yun Sheng earlier, so she patiently answered Yun Sheng's questions one by one. Actually, I've always been curious. Didn't they say that everyone who is exiled to the underworld would have a punishment brand on them? Why don't you and Brother Ing have any? Yun Sheng had noticed this when she met Ing Chuan and Ingyu. Not only Ingyu and Ing Chuan, but Yun Sheng also found that many people didn't have any punishment brand on them after entering Silent City. Not everyone from the underworld has a punishment brand on their body. Only the humans who were exiled to the underworld from the mortal world have a punishment brand on them, Ingyu said as she stole a glance at Dollar, who was beside Yun Sheng. Looking at the punishment brand with the word 1,000 on Dollar, Ingyu's heart still palpitated a little. If Yun Sheng hadn't said that Dollar was her husband, Ingyu would have stayed far away from such a felon who had been slaughtered by thousands. After Ingyu's explanation, Yun Sheng learned that there were several kinds of people in the underworld. One kind was like Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming, who were exiled from the mortal world. Another kind was the descendants of the humans who were exiled to the underworld in the early years. The last kind was the natives of the underworld, the Nether Clan. Ingyu and Ing Chuan belonged to the second kind. Their ancestors were exiled to the underworld because of some mistakes. Then they got married and had children in the underworld. They didn't have a punishment brand on them. In the underworld, they were second-class people. The exiled criminals belonged to the lowest class of citizens. As for the first-class citizens, they were naturally the natives of the netherworld, the netherworld race. For example, the world deities of the underworld belonged to the underworld clan with the noblest bloodline in the underworld. PFFF, Bobo, who was secretly drinking tea at the side, spat out a mouthful of tea. Bullshit netherworld clan. Popping Sheep's face was full of dissatisfaction. Under Yun Sheng's sharp glare, this fellow finally calmed down. Ingyu also told Yun Sheng that the Nether Clan status had always been unshakable. As the second and third class citizens, the descendants of criminals and exiles were always bullied in the underworld. Hundreds of years ago, the convicts who were exiled here had to serve as laborers, and the descendants of the convicts had to pay heavy taxes every year. This situation only improved when the Phantasm Ghost King appeared. The Netherworld Ghost King isn't from the Netherworld clan, but he doesn't look like a human either. Thinking back to the Taiyuan ruins, when the Netherworld Ghost King had an enchanting appearance that was different from a human's, Yun Sheng raised her doubts. To be exact, no one knows the origins of the Netherworld Ghost King. Some say that he was a human, while others say that he was a fallen god. However, no matter what, his appearance changed the situation of the underworld to a large extent. He led the 4 great counties, including the Jima County, to break away from the rule of the underworld deity, allowing the descendants of the human race and the convicts to obtain freedom and equality. It's a pity that he has fallen. When speaking of the Netherworld Ghost King, Ingyu's face was full of reverence. In fact, most of the descendants of the human race and the convicts were very grateful to the Netherworld Ghost King. It's a pity that he died. Hearing Ying Yu's words, Yun Sheng's attitude towards the Phantasm Ghost King improved. She was even more curious as to who was able to kill the Phantasm Ghost King. It seemed that she had to quickly study the terrain of the Ghost Water Stream and explore the Ghost King cave as soon as possible. Seeing that Yun Sheng had sunk into deep thought, Ying Yu's eyes flashed with an unspeakable secret. She had already heard from senior brother Ying Chuan that Yun Sheng's purpose in coming to the underworld was to find the Netherworld Ghost King. Ying Yu seemed to want to tell Yun Sheng something, but hesitated. Ying Yu, Miss Yin, you're both here? Sect Master invites you in. Ying Chuan walked out and was very surprised to see Yun Sheng and Ying Yu, who had previously disliked each other, chatting happily. When he saw the demonic beast beside Yun Sheng, Ying Chuan's expression suddenly changed, and he pulled out his weapon. Senior brother, don't misunderstand. That's Yun Sheng's demonic beast. Ying Yu saw that Ying Chuan's expression had changed and couldn't help but laugh. A demonic beast that could slaughter 1,000 people? Ying Chuan's face was a mix of red and white. If Yun Sheng also had such a ferocious beast by her side in the Weiwu Forest, forget one spiky tiger. Even 10 spiky tigers wouldn't be enough to defeat her. However, with such a powerful, ferocious beast, the sect master's plan would probably proceed much more smoothly. Ying Chuan led Yun Sheng, Jin and Ying Yu into Sect Master Ying's room. Sect Master Ying's complexion looked good. He believed that the poison in his body had almost fully recovered. He also heard Ying Chuan explain Jin Ni's background. Hearing that, Sect Master Ying's face lit up with joy. Miss Yin, I won't hide it from you. I invited you here today to ask for your help. Help me eliminate the people from the Thousand Hell sect tonight. Ying Hai was naturally a courageous and resourceful person since he could become the sect master of Hundred Rin Sect. In addition, he had received Yun Sheng's advice and was already on his guard against the Thousand Hell sect. Earlier, he pretended to ask Ying Chuan and Ying Yu not to reveal that he had fully recovered from his illness. On the contrary, he purposely created an illusion that his poison had worsened. Ying Hai secretly ordered people to keep a close eye on the Thousand Hell sect's movements. After some observation, they indeed discovered that the Thousand Hell sect spies had been lurking near Hundred Rin Sect for the past few days. I've already asked around. The person who framed me this time is the vice sect leader of the Thousand Hell sect, C.I. Lai. He planned to take advantage of the fact that the sect leader of the Thousand Hell sect is in closed-door cultivation to launch a surprise attack and annex the 100 Rin Gate tonight. If Miss Yin hadn't appeared at the market, I'm afraid I would have been killed by them this time. When Ying Hai said this, the veins on his forehead throbbed. He was extremely angry. Ying Yu and Ying Chuan beside him were also filled with righteous indignation. Sect Mastering, you want me to help you? Sect Mastering, Yun Sheng is just a passerby. She helped you to treat your illness because she wanted to repay Big Brother Ying's favor. Since the favor has been repaid, 100 Rin Sect and I don't owe each other anything. To Yun Sheng, killing someone like C.I. Lai was just a piece of cake. However, the Thousand Hell Sect was a large sect in Jima County after all. Yun Sheng wasn't willing to get herself into big trouble because of this. Right now, she only wanted to get to Ghost Water Stream as soon as possible. Ying Chuan and Ying Yu listened anxiously from the side. However, the two of them didn't want to force Yun Sheng to stay. This old man also understands this point very well. However, if I'm willing to help Miss Yin enter the Ghost King cave smoothly, will Miss Yin agree to help me eliminate the Thousand Hell sect? Ying Hai had already guessed Yun Sheng's answer and suddenly asked. Chapter 11:15. Although Ying Hai had only met Yun Sheng by chance, he had seen countless people and had long seen that Yun Sheng had wisdom and steadiness that did not match her appearance. Yun Sheng was a person who would respect others tenfold if they respected her. However, it was not so easy to get her to work for the Thousand Hell sect. As expected, Yun Sheng rejected him immediately. Sect Mastering, are you threatening me? I've already found out the whereabouts of the Ghost King cave. I don't need your help. Yun Sheng's voice became colder. She hated being threatened the most. If not for the sake of Ing Chuan and Ing Yu, she would have left immediately. You already know the whereabouts of the Ghost King Cave? You've been to the Superpowers Pavilion? A strange expression appeared on Ing Hai's face. Master, I was the one who asked Miss Yin to go to the Superpowers Pavilion. She came to the underworld to find the netherworld Ghost King. Ing Chuan was a straightforward person. When he saw his master threaten Yun Sheng, he also felt somewhat indignant. Sigh, it's my fault for not telling you clearly earlier. Miss Yin, you must have also fallen for that old fox Shun Jizi's trick and bought this map at a high price. Ing Hai shook his head and took out a map. When she saw the map, Yun Sheng's expression was as ugly as it could get. That map was the same one she had obtained from Shun Jizi earlier. It was the same map and also the ghost water stream. That old man Shun Jizi had clearly promised her that he would not sell this map to others. Moreover, Ing Hai had just woken up. It was impossible for him to obtain the map so quickly. Then, the only explanation was, there's no need to look at it. This map is the one you obtained. I believe that the same map is in the hands of the 100 Hell Sect, the 1,000 Hell Sect, the Jima Commandery, and the other major forces in the 8 commanderies of the underworld. Ing Hai cannot help but sigh. He had also heard from Ing Chuan that Yun Sheng had come to the underworld to find the whereabouts of the netherworld Ghost King. He had just told Yun Sheng that he had purchased this map from that old fox, Shun Jizi, about 10 years ago with a large sum of money. As for the other major forces, they had also obtained the same map from Shun Jizi in the 20 years after the phantasm Ghost King's death. This matter had long been an open secret among the major sections. However, because the old man Shun Jizi had more or less grasped some secrets of the major sects, no one dared to find trouble with Shun Jizi. However, this map was also kept in the hands of the various major powers. Everyone's thoughts were the same as Yun Sheng's. They wanted to enter the Ghost King Cave and obtain the Ghost King's relics or inheritance. So you're saying that we've all been tricked by Shun Jizi? Yun Sheng suppressed her anger. That damn Shun Jizi actually dared to blackmail her. That might not be the case. This map shouldn't be fake. After this old man obtained this map, I secretly made a trip to the Ghost Water Stream. This old man is certain that there is a demigod rank magical beast in the Ghost Water Stream. For a demigod rank magical beast to be in charge of guarding the Ghost King Cave, Ing Hai said. Ing Hai also told Yun Sheng that although the major powers of the underworld 8 counties all had this map in their hands, not a single one of them had successfully entered the Ghost Water Stream in the past 20 years, let alone obtain the Ghost King's inheritance. This was because the demigod rank magical beast was extremely powerful. None of the major powers had been able to kill it. Even a martial god rank warrior or a magic god rank magician might not be able to defeat that magical beast. It was also because of the existence of that magical beast that the Ghost Water Stream had not been breached. If that's the case, why did Sect Master Ing say that you can help me enter the Ghost King Cave? Yin Sheng heard something unusual from Ing Hai's tone. If Ing Hai really had the confidence to help her enter the Ghost King Cave, she could even help him destroy the entire 1,000 Hell Sect, let alone a mere CI lie. Miss Yin, don't worry. As long as you help the 100 Ring Gate overcome tonight's crisis, I can guarantee that you will definitely be able to enter the Ghost Water Stream. As for whether you can find what you want, it will all depend on your luck. Ing Hai knew that he had persuaded Yin Sheng. Yin Sheng pondered for a moment and finally chose to cooperate with Ing Hai. After Yun Sheng discussed with Ing Hai and the others, they quietly waited for midnight to arrive. The people from 1,000 Hell Sect had walked right into the trap. It was night, but the inside and outside of the Billowing Gate were no different from any other day. Around the time of the Z, there were many shadows coming out from the alleys around the Billowing Gate like shuttles of arrows. C.I. Lai was dressed in black. Beside him, the Vice Sect Master of the 1,000 Hell Sect, C.I. Lai, stared at the silent 100 Ring Gate with bright eyes. Uncle, look at the 100 Ring Gate. Is that old fellow, Ing Hai, really dead? C.I. Lai and his nephew had been paying close attention to the 100 Ring Gate for the past few days. According to a reliable source, Ing Yu and Ing Chuan had already returned from the Weifog Forest. The two of them had already brought back the soul crystal of the fiery red tree spirit. That old fellow Ing Hai must have fallen into their trap. Even if Ing Hai did not fall into our trap, he has been poisoned for half a year. He is already at the end of his rope. If you and I attack together, we will definitely be able to kill him. Si Lai laughed sinisterly. With a wave of his hand, nearly 100 disciples from the Thousand Hells sect quietly approached the 100-ring gate. Si Lai and his nephew found Ing Hai's room without any trouble. There was only a dim illumination magic formation in the room. Ing Hai was lying on the side of the bed. They could only vaguely see his curled-up silhouette. That old man is on the verge of death. Let me be the good guy and send you on your way. Tully raised his palm and gathered his do chi. A whistling sound could be heard as his do chi tore through the air and flew towards the bed. Si Lai was already a martial god. His opponent was not prepared for this attack. Even if Ing Hai was not injured, he might not be able to dodge this sneak attack. Just as Si Lai's palm landed on the back of Ing Hai, who was lying on the bed. Suddenly, the figure on the sickbed that was as still as a volcano suddenly moved. A terrifying beast roar pierced Si Lai's eardrums. The golden beast's eyes seemed to light up the entire room. Its sharp claws were as fast as lightning. Si Lai only felt that his head was still on his shoulder a moment ago. In the next second, his head fell to the ground. It was so fast that he did not even feel any pain. Before his consciousness completely disappeared, Si Lai saw his headless body being pounced on by a demon beast that was glowing with a blinding golden light. The demon beast body seemed to be made of gold. Under the dim illumination of the magic formation, it shone brightly. On its back, the word Qian was branded. What a beast! This was the only thought that flashed through Si Lai's mind. Then, everything fell into darkness. He was dead. On the last day of February, thank you for voting, recommending, and gifting. If you don't vote now, school will start soon. There will be more updates in March. Chapter 11:16. Midnight was the quietest and darkest time of the day. Ing Hai, Ing Yu, and Ing Chuan, who had been waiting in the dark for a long time, attacked the Thousand Hell sect not long after they infiltrated the 100-ring gate. Yu sniped them from the dark. Ing Chuan cut off their escape route. Ing Hai, who had just recovered from his illness, had a glint in his eyes. A wolf shadow spear appeared in his hand and charged into the crowd. With a roar, the battle chi in his body burst out, and in an instant, countless spear shadows were thrust out. Blood splattered everywhere the spear shadows passed. Ing Yu and Ing Chuan were also doing well. Ing Chuan held 2 sabers in his hands, and a sharp fighting aura appeared on his sabers. Wherever his sabers passed, it was as if he was cutting vegetables. Ing Yu remained calm and kept shooting arrows with her magic bow. After becoming friends with Yun Sheng, she had received some guidance from Yun Sheng. Now, she had improved a lot in her magic bow and arrow skills. The 100 or so thousand Hell Sect elites that Si Lai had brought with him were swept away by the 100 Cloud Gate in less than 10 minutes, like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. This is great. Father, how long has it been since we last felt this good? Ing Yu gritted her teeth, and her face was flushed. Ever since her father was poisoned and the Thousand Hell Sect rose, the 100-ring gate had been suppressed badly. Today, she had killed to her heart's content. Master, why is there no movement in the room? Can Miss Yun really handle it alone? Ing Chuan looked worried. Earlier, Yun Sheng had agreed to form an alliance with Ing Hai to eliminate the Thousand Hell Sect's attack. Yun Sheng had even suggested that she should deal with Si Lai and his nephew alone. Although they had a rough idea of Yun Sheng's strength, they couldn't help but have some doubts. Si Lai was a martial god. If he fought head-on, he should be in a fierce battle right now. The 3 of them walked out of the room. The surroundings were silent. Could it be? Something must have happened. The door creaked open. Yun Sheng walked out with a calm expression. In her right hand, she was carrying a frightened person. It was the spiky tiger. Looking at the ground, it was covered in blood. Si Lai was already lying on the ground with his head separated from his body. Cub was already paralyzed with fear. Dead. Ing Hai's eyes narrowed. I'll leave this guy to you guys. Yun Sheng tossed the spiky tiger to Ing Hai. As for the interspatial pouches on Savage Cub and Ci Lai, she had already looted them without hesitation. This was also the reason why she volunteered to kill Ci Lai and Ci Hu. As the vice sect master of the Thousand Hell sect, Ci Lai possessed a considerable amount of wealth. Yun Sheng now had 300 king-class soulstones, as well as some land deeds and shops in Jima County. Ing Hai searched Ci Lai's corpse and found that Ci Lai's storage bag was gone. He knew that Yun Sheng had taken it, but he didn't say anything. As for Cub, Ing Hai didn't kill him immediately. After interrogating him, he locked him up. Sect Master Ing, I've already helped you defeat the Thousand Hell Sect's ambush. According to our agreement, you should tell me how to enter Ghost Water Stream and avoid the demigod-level demonic beast. With Yun Sheng's current strength, if she worked with Dollar and the other demonic beasts in the Beast Speech Ring, they might be able to defeat the demigod-level demonic beast, especially since she had 3 divine beast totems with her. At the last moment, the divine beast totems might be able to fight, but Yun Sheng could only summon them once. She didn't want to use them unless she had no other choice. Miss Yin, you don't have to worry about that. This old man is a man of his word. To tell you the truth, this old man has been monitoring the whereabouts of that demigod-ranked demonic beast for so many years. Finally, this old man discovered a secret. This demigod-level demonic beast has been stuck at the demigod level for 20 years. It's finally going to break through. In about 5 days, it will attempt to break through to the god level. Ing Hai told Yun Sheng about his discovery. Break through to the god level? Yun Sheng understood what Ing Hai meant. Whether it was demonic beasts or humans, the moment they broke through to the god level was when they were at their weakest. Ing Hai wanted Yun Sheng to sneak into the Ghost King cave during the limited time the demigod-level demonic beast was breaking through to the god level. This method is feasible. Yun Sheng thought about it. Although it was a little risky, it was the safest method if the timing was right. However, there's one more thing. Since I was able to discover the demigod-level demonic beast breaking through to the god level, the other forces of the underworld must have also discovered it. Moreover, I will also sending you and Ing Chuan to the Beast King's cave this time. Ing Hai had only agreed to help Yun Sheng enter the Beast King's cave, but he did not give up the opportunity to enter the Beast King's cave. The temptation of the Ghost King cave was too great. The Beast King cave was built by the first Ghost King of the underworld. It was rumored that the Ghost King had chosen the Ghost Water Ravine because the Ghost Water Ravine had a special terrain that allowed it to contain a large amount of dark energy. For mages and warriors living in the underworld, this dark energy could speed up their cultivation. Ing Hai didn't mind, but Ing Chuan and Ing Yu were still young. If they could seize this opportunity to enter the Ghost King cave, even if they didn't obtain the Ghost King's inheritance and magic weapons, the dark energy in the Ghost King cave will be enough to benefit them greatly in the future. Ing Hai's plan was also the plan of the other forces of the underworld. The various forces of the underworld had spent a lot of money to buy Shun Jizi's map. Naturally, they wouldn't give up any chance to enter the Beast King cave. They must have already discovered this pattern. These people had waited bitterly for 20 years and finally got this chance. They would definitely fight to enter the Beast King cave. Therefore, Yun Sheng's trip to the Beast King cave this time was still very dangerous. What the master brings in depends on the individual. How much we can gain in the Ghost King cave would depend on our own abilities. Yun Sheng admired Ing Hai's frankness. Therefore, she agreed to go to the Ghost Water Ravine with Ing Yu and Ing Chuan. Vice sect leader Ci Lai had been killed, and more than 100 disciples had been surrounded. This time, the Thousand Hell sect had suffered a great loss. The next day, the Thousand Hell sect leader, Wan Tiancho, received the news. Ing Hai, you old bastard. Wan Tiancho knew that Ing Hai had recovered from his poison and had even plotted against the Thousand Hell sect. Anger was stuck in his heart, and he couldn't do anything about it. Sect leader, are we going to bring our brothers to fight to the death with the 100 Rin sect? The people from the Thousand Hell sect were indignant. A fight to the death is inevitable, but not now. Wait until I return from the Ghost King cave. I will definitely massacre the 100 Rin sect. Just as Ing Hai had said, Wan Tianqiu also sent people to closely monitor the demigod-level demonic beast's movements at the Ghostwater Ravine. He had also received a secret report that the demigod-level demonic beast would soon break through to the god level. Chapter 11:17. In the Underworld Palace, a man stood tall and straight. He wore a purple-gold divine robe, and his long black hair fell to his waist. Lord World Deity, in the past few days, the major forces of the 8 counties of the Underworld have been secretly rushing towards the Shiwei Gate, a skeleton soldier reported. You may leave. Under the man's handsome eyebrows, a sharp light flashed through his slender eyes. After the skeleton soldier retreated, he flipped his palm, and a crystal ball appeared in his palm. On the crystal ball, a beautiful female magician was mixed in with the crowd. On her back, there was a lazy, pink magical beast with a sleepy face. The Ghost King Cave? After waiting for so many years, he finally came? The world deity of the underworld disappeared, leaving behind an empty underworld palace. In another part of the underworld, near the Shiwei Gate, Yun Sheng and the people of the 100 Thunder sect were hurrying day and night. Achoo! Vomiting, that uncomfortable feeling came again. Dear Master, I have a very bad premonition about this place. The sheeps will stood on end, and the strange feeling of being watched came again. The sheep's black beady eyes kept turning. What was wrong? Why did it feel that the closer they got to the Shiwei Gate, the more uneasy it felt? The sheep thought about it carefully. Yes, it must be because they were getting closer and closer to the Underworld Palace. This feeling was as if that guy who was spitting would appear by their side at any time. Yun Sheng, Ing Yu, Ing Chuan, and the others led a dozen disciples of the 100 Thunder sect to the Ghost Water Stream. The Ghost Water Stream is close to the Shiwei Gate. The evil aura in this area is much stronger than in other places. You're probably not used to it, Ing Yu said. Ever since Yun Sheng and Ing Yu had buried the hatchet, she liked the sheep more. After all, the sheep had a cute face that could make a woman's heart flutter. However, the sheep was very proud. Other than Yun Sheng and Jean and I, no one else could touch it. After witnessing the sheep's strange strength that night, Ing Yu didn't dare to provoke it. Speaking of which, are there really ghosts around the Shiwei Gate? What's the difference between these ghosts and humans? Yin Sheng was most curious about the ghosts of the Shiwei Gate. Before coming to the underworld, Yin Sheng had always thought that she would see ghosts everywhere in the underworld. Before Yin Sheng transmigrated to the boundless world, she was a typical atheist. But after coming to the boundless world, her worldview was overturned. On the continent, there were indeed many inconceivable things. However, ever since she came to the underworld, she hadn't seen a single ghost. After asking around, she found out that the ghosts from the human world who couldn't reincarnate were brought to the underworld. In order not to disturb the order of the underworld, they were brought to the Shiwei Gate and imprisoned forever. Unlike the Eastway Gate, the Westway Gate wasn't actually a gate, but a magical stone tablet. It was an enormous devil-suppressing stone tablet. It was said that it was 3,000 meters tall and 500 meters wide. There were countless names of ghosts engraved on it. No one knew who built the devil-suppressing stone tablet, but the existence of the underworld depended on it. The devil-suppressing stone tablet was already there. Since the devil-suppressing stone tablet existed in the underworld, countless ghosts from the human world were brought to the underworld and sealed in the stone tablet hundreds of thousands of years ago. In the end, they were sealed in the devil-suppressing stone tablet. Most of these ghosts were resentful spirits from the human world. If they stayed in the underworld for too long, they would definitely become resentful spirits and cause a storm of blood in the underworld. However, if used properly, they could be used to support the dark energy of the underworld and provide an endless supply of energy for the entire underworld. Therefore, this devil-suppressing stone tablet was the most important place that supported the entire underworld. Therefore, the Shiwei Gate was the most heavily guarded place in the entire underworld. The Underworld Palace was guarded by a large number of underworld soldiers. The Ghost King Cave was located at the Ghost Water Stream, which was only 50 miles away from the Shiwei Gate. The outside world also suspected that the reason why the Netherworld Ghost King built the Ghost King Cave at the Ghost Water Stream was not only to absorb the dark energy of the devil-suppressing stone tablet, but also to demonstrate his might to the underworld deities. The ghosts of the Shiwei Gate cannot be reincarnated. They will forever remain in the Shiwei Gate's magic array until their souls dissipate. Speaking of which, they are quite pitiful. Ingyu had once been near the Shiwei Gate. She only saw an enormous stone tablet that reached the clouds. Near the stone tablet were 4 underworld deities' underworld winged demonic beasts. Inside the stone tablet, ghostly wails and howls could be heard day and night, imprisoning countless ghosts. It's a pity that we have to hurry to the ghost water stream. Otherwise, I would be interested to take a look at the Shiwei Gate. Yunsheng was very curious about the devil-suppressing stone tablet. On their way to the ghost water stream, they met many people from other powers. It seemed that the news of the demigod rank demonic beasts breaking through had already spread to everyone's ears. The people from the 100 Ring Gate and Yunsheng traveled day and night. After 3 days, they finally arrived at the ghost water stream. However, in order not to alarm the demigod-ranked demonic beasts, the various powers had set up camp 10 miles away from the ghost water stream. Yunsheng, look, even the people from the Thousand Hell sect are here. Moreover, they are led by that old man, Wan Tianqiu. And you noticed that there were dozens of disciples from the Thousand Hell sect near the ghost water stream. From CI, who Ingyu and the others already knew that the sect master of the Thousand Hell sect, Wan Tianqiu, was in seclusion. They didn't expect him to come out of seclusion so early for this trip to the Ghost King Cave. Yunsheng secretly sized up Wan Tianqiu. Compared to CI, who Wan Tianqiu's figure was more burly. His cultivation should be around the middle stage of the martial god realm. Wan Tianqiu also noticed Ingyu and the others. Sect Master, it's those bastards from the 100 Ring Gate. The blood feud between the Thousand Hell sect and the 100 Ring Gate had long been formed. When the people from both sides saw each other, their eyes turned red with anger. They couldn't wait to tear each other into pieces. Wan Tianqiu's eyes were also red with anger. However, compared to the disciples from the Thousand Hell sect, Wan Tianqiu was more cautious. At a glance, he noticed that although there weren't many people from the 100 Ring Gate, there was an unfamiliar face among them. That was Yunsheng. What made Wan Tianqiu even more surprised was that there was a golden demonic beast beside Yunsheng. It was branded with heavy punishment. What an evil beast! Even Wan Tianqiu, who had done many evil deeds in the underworld, couldn't help but be secretly shocked when he saw the evil dollar. Wan Tianqiu had previously wondered how CI who, and the elites from the Thousand Hell sect could be killed by that old fox, Inghai, in one night. Now that he saw dollar, Wan Tianqiu suddenly understood. It was obvious that the female sorcerer and the ferocious beast were behind this. If he wanted to attack the people from the 100 Ring Gate, he would have to kill that woman and the beast first. Chapter 11:18. Although the 100 Cloud Gate and the 10,000 Yamasek forces were filled with undercurrents, no one was willing to lose their strength at a time like this, when the demigod-rank magical beast was about to break through and various forces were vying for the Ghost King Cave. Whether it was Chuan, Ingyu, or that old man Wan Tianqiu, they only had one thought in their minds. The real battle would only begin after they entered the Ghost King Cave. Yunsheng also thought that compared to Wan Tianqiu, the exploration of the Ghost King Cave this time was more about the other factions. Yunsheng secretly paid attention to the other factions that came from the 8 counties of the underworld. They were stronger than the 100 Rin sect and the 1,000 Inferno sect. Some of them had even reached the peak of the martial god realm. In comparison, the few major forces of Jima Prefecture seemed insignificant. After getting a general idea of the strength of each faction, Yunsheng and Ingyu began to survey the terrain of the Ghost Water Stream. The Ghost Water Stream was originally a stream. The water that flowed here was black in color. The flow of the water was not strong, but it flowed all year round. The stream was about 5 miles long, winding and deep. Aside from the demigod-level demonic beast that was about to break through, there were also a large number of dense demonic plants growing near the Ghost Water Stream. Among them, the most annoying one was a demonic plant called the Throat Arrow Tree. This demonic plant would shoot out a large number of sharp thorns at the slightest movement. A person would be turned into a pool of blood if they were touched by the thorns. Moreover, they had to be wary of the valley jellyfish that might suddenly appear in the stream. This type of jellyfish could shoot out a very powerful large-scale ice magic that could freeze a person in an instant. That's the general situation. Looking at the signs, the demigod-level demonic beast hasn't broken through yet. Ing Yu and Ing Chuan chose an open area with a good view 5 miles away from the ghost water stream to set up camp. Night fell. In order not to alarm the demigod-level demonic beast, none of the factions dared to use magic formations or bonfires. They only ate some cold, dry rations. Around midnight, a commotion came from the direction of the ghost water stream. An angry cloud suddenly appeared in the originally pitch-black sky. The roiling clouds were like a ball of raging flames, and also like a stormy sea. If one listened carefully, one would be able to faintly hear the rumbling of thunder within the roiling clouds. From this, one could tell how frightening the might contained within the roiling clouds was. It's the heavenly lightning of darkness that only appears when the divine beast of darkness breaks through. Both inside and outside the tent, there was an uproar. Yun Sheng and Ingyu also came out of the tent. Yun Sheng had encountered several lightning tribulations. The first time was when the 9-leaf purple ginseng had evolved into a divine spiritual herb. The second time was when second Uncle Yun Songlong had broken through to the martial saint rank. The last time was when Grandfather Yunba had broken through to the martial saint rank. In comparison, each of the recent advancements was grander and grander. All living things in the world had their own opportunities. Compared to plants, humans, and magical beasts, plants were the weakest, so the scale of their lightning tribulations was also the smallest. The physical strength of humans was between plants and magical beasts, so the power of their lightning tribulations was also in the middle. Magical beasts were a very special existence in the world. They had the strongest physical strength, but correspondingly, the difficulty of their cultivation was also the highest. This was especially so in a place like the underworld. Magical beasts that had broken through to the divine beast of darkness had committed many evil deeds throughout their lives. Therefore, the lightning tribulations they encountered during their breakthroughs were bound to be the most powerful. The power of the heavenly lightning of darkness was not to be underestimated. If it succeeded, that demigod magical beast would break through the bottleneck of the divine realm. However, if it failed, that demigod magical beast would be consigned to eternal damnation, and its soul could only be used to add a portion of dark energy to the demon subduing stone tablet. The appearance of the angry cloud meant that the demigod magical beast was about to break through to the divine realm. This was also the best time to sneak into the Ghost King cave. Look, it's that demigod magical beast. Someone cried out in surprise. From the depths of the Ghost Creek in the valley, a beast roar that made one's bones hurt could be heard. The silhouette of a magical beast that was the size of a hill rushed out from the rocky waters of the Ghost Creek. Only then did Yun Sheng see the true appearance of that magical beast. It was an arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros. This kind of battle rhinoceros was a special kind of dark magical beast of the underworld. It was born to cultivate both magic and martial arts. Not only did it possess a terrifying dark do chi, but it could also use powerful dark magic. With such an arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros guarding the Ghost Creek, it was equivalent to having a demigod warrior and a demigod magician at the same time. It was no wonder that the forces of the underworld's 8 counties were unable to break through the Ghost Creek in the past 20 years. Although the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros had appeared, no one dared to rashly approach it. The arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros was a demigod magical beast. It had already gained human senses, and it also knew the power of the heavenly lightning of wrath. It roared, and a dark brown magic array appeared under its cumbersome body. Pieces of heavy armor that looked like gold and stone immediately condensed on its skin. Everyone opened their eyes wide, waiting for the first heavenly lightning of darkness to fall. Rumble! The heavenly lightning of wrath, which was several times thicker than an arm, struck the thick armor of the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros with a violent force. The power of the heavenly lightning of darkness fell. Even though the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros had already used magic to defend itself, the magic armor made a few cracking sounds, and cracks appeared on it. Blood seeped out from the cracks. The arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros felt a heart-wrenching pain. Even so, it endured and waited for the second heavenly lightning of darkness to fall. Now's the time. Sneak into the Ghost Creek. When the major forces saw this, they were all overjoyed. They quickly rushed toward the Ghost Creek. Yun Sheng, Yin and Ying Chuan looked at each other. There's no hurry. Let's wait for a while and see what happens. Yun Sheng shook her head. Although Yin Yu was secretly anxious, she remembered that before they left, her father had repeatedly told her that after entering the Ghost Creek, she had to listen to Yun Sheng's orders. She could only suppress the excitement in her heart and wait at the side. Wan Tianqiu was one of the first to rush into the Ghost Creek. He had already occupied an excellent position and led several disciples into the depths of the Ghost Creek. The arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros was still waiting for the second heavenly lightning of darkness. Wan Tianqiu saw an opening. He and the disciples of his sect leaped a few times and swept past the rhinoceros's field of vision. In order to avoid the rhinoceros, the people of the Wan Yama sect all walked along the banks of the Ghost Creek. When they sensed the movement of the grass and the wind, the howling arrow trees that were half a man's height on both sides of the bank shot out black shadows. The black shadows were stained with the stench of blood and were extremely sharp. Wan Tianqiu had already anticipated the power of the howling arrow trees, so he came prepared. With a roar, the fighting aura in his body suddenly exploded. The might of a martial god was not to be underestimated. An indestructible wall of fighting aura formed around him. The thick fighting aura instantly shattered the sharp, poisonous thorns. Chapter 11:19. Wan Tianqiu's fighting qi was so strong that the arrows, which were extremely poisonous in the eyes of others, were nothing to him. After his successful attack, his subordinates took out their celestial weapons one after another. There was a flash of fire. The throat arrow trees were most afraid of fire. Once they encountered the fire, the throat arrow trees shrank into a ball. Seeing that Wan Tianqiu had succeeded, the other forces followed suit. Soon, two fire snakes appeared on both sides of the ghost water stream in the deep valley. Countless throat arrow wood, under the effect of the fire snakes, were set ablaze and burned to ashes. In the blink of an eye, they had already crossed half of the ghost water stream. In front of them was a vast stream with unknown depth. Martial gods like Wan Tianqiu didn't care about the ice arrow jellyfish. The fighting qi in his body formed a fighting qi armor on the surface of his body. Wan Tianqiu took the lead and flew up like an eagle. Following him were the leaders of the major forces. In an instant, 8 or 9 martial gods flashed across the surface of the ghost water ravine. Under the stream, there was a commotion. Countless valley jellyfish emerged from the water. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Streaks of icy blue water arrows shot out from under the water. The water arrows turned into ice arrows as soon as they entered the air. Those disciples with weaker cultivations were caught off guard and were hit by several ice arrows. They immediately turned into ice men and fell into the stream, smashing their bodies and bones into pieces. The martial gods, on the other hand, were at ease. As they flew, the do qi in their bodies protected them so that not even a drop of water could leak out. While using their battle energy to protect their bodies, they also aimed their fists at the location where the water arrows were shot out from. Their battle energy drilled into the water and blasted those ice arrow jellyfish into smithereens. Seeing that Wan Tianqiu and the others were about to cross the stream and enter the deepest part of the ghost water stream, Ying Yu and the others, who had been waiting by the side, became anxious. Yin Sheng, why don't we take action? If we delay any longer, I'm afraid they will break into the Ghost King cave. Yin Sheng looked calm, but he was already very nervous. There's no hurry. The best part is yet to come. My big gift hasn't appeared yet. Yunsheng chuckled. When Yu and the others heard this, they all frowned, not understanding the meaning behind Yunsheng's words. Only Kissing Sheep and Dollar knew what their master, Wildcat, meant. Bo, I mourn for all of you. That devil-subduing stone tablet of the underworld really benefited you for nothing. There will be a few more vengeful spirits. Bobo Sheep laughed evilly. Not long after Yunsheng finished speaking, there was another wave of fluctuation in the ghost water stream. Everyone was shocked. They had already killed a large number of ice arrow jellyfish. Why was there another wave? Suddenly, the expressions of Wan Tianqiu and the others changed drastically because they had acutely sensed that the ripples coming from the bottom of the stream were not ordinary ripples. Suddenly, all the water from the ghost water stream was sucked into the air, forming 4 magical waterfalls in the front, back, left, and right. The water vapor from the waterfalls was dense, blocking the heroes inside the waterfalls. The power of the magical waterfalls was not to be underestimated. With such an obstruction, even Wan Tianqiu and the others were unable to break through the magical waterfalls. The scale of this magical waterfall was not something that could be created by ordinary ice arrow jellyfish. Everyone was faintly uneasy. Aside from the demigod rank arrowtail battle rhinoceros, could it be that there were other powerful magical beasts in the ghost water stream? What kind of monster is this? Wan Tianqiu looked at the stream and saw that the water was converging towards the center of the stream. A terrifying, unknown, dark, magical plant drilled out from the bottom of the stream. Its size was about the same as the arrowtail battle rhinoceros, but its body was covered with countless tentacles. Each tentacle was tens of meters long. That magical plant was none other than King Anemone Abyssalis, which Yunsheng had obtained from the bottom of the Penglai Sea. When Yunsheng had made a contract with King Anemone Abyssalis, she had promised that as long as she was alive, she would definitely bring King Anemone Abyssalis with her when she went to the underworld. When Yunsheng had made the promise, she did not know that she would really come to the underworld one day. She did not expect that she would really come to the underworld. The underworld was not very useful to the other magical beasts on Yunsheng's body. However, it was the best environment for King Anemone Abyssalis to live in, especially this ghost water stream, which was a place of extreme enth that was selected by the Ghost King. It also had a water source. For King Anemone Abyssalis, it was the best place to fight. When Yunsheng had arrived at the ghost water stream, she had already made up her mind. There were many powerful forces in the 8 counties of the underworld, and there was no lack of martial gods among them. If these people all entered the Ghost King cave, it would undoubtedly be more difficult for her to find the Heart Distress Lantern. However, if she wanted to use the magical plants and jellyfish in the ghost water stream to obstruct these experts, it was obviously unrealistic. Therefore, when she was surveying the terrain, she had quietly placed King Anemone Abyssalis in the beast language ring into the water. King Anemone Abyssalis was a tyrant in the vast Penglai Sea. Needless to say, it was only a small stream. While waiting for the arrowtail battle rhinoceros to break through to the god level, King Anemone Abyssalis had already taken control of all the ice arrow jellyfish in the ghost water stream. When the raging thundercloud arrived and the arrowtail battle rhinoceros started to break through to the god level, the heroes could not help but rush into the ghost water stream. Yunsheng first secretly manipulated King Anemone Abyssalis to order the ice arrow jellyfish to create the illusion that they could not withstand a single blow. Only when the leaders of the powerful forces had entered the depths of the stream did she let King Anemone Abyssalis launch a surprise attack. Indeed, without knowing that there was a Peak King-level magical plant hiding in the ghost water stream, Wan Tianqiu and the rest were caught off guard. The situation that was originally firmly under the control of the powerful forces became abnormally dangerous in the blink of an eye. King Anemone Abyssalis' magical waterfall blocked the hero's path. Wan Tianqiu activated the fighting energy in his body and attacked King Anemone Abyssalis. "Beast, why aren't you retreating?" Wan Tianqiu was like a cannonball as he approached King Anemone Abyssilis. A streak of fighting energy struck one of King Anemone Tentacle's tentacles. King Anemone Tentacle's tentacles were cut off and flew out. Seeing this, Juan Tiancho was overjoyed. But at the same time, a new tentacle suddenly grew out from King Anemone Tentacle's wound. The more it was cut off, the more tentacles grew out. This scene caused the faces of the powerhouses who were fighting endlessly to change. But this was only the beginning. What happened next caused the faces of the heroes to turn pale. King Anemone Tentacle let out an ear-piercing screech. There was another magical fluctuation beside it, and a large number of small Anemone Abyssilis appeared. Welcome to the monthly votes party. Chapter 1120. For the past 20 years, the people of the major factions had been coveting the Ghost King Cave. Their surveillance of the Ghost Water Stream was much more than that of the Sectmaster of the Hundred Thunder Sect. Even a number of arrow trees and frost arrow jellyfish, as well as their approximate locations, have been thoroughly investigated. But they never knew that there was such a terrifying magical plant in the Ghost Water Stream. The magical plant's body was surging with dark magic. Its strength had reached the peak of King Realm, only a step away from Demigod Realm. It might not be as strong as the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros, but its vitality was more tenacious. They saw King Anemone Abyssilis and a large number of little tentacle sunflowers floating around it. Although it was only a peak King Realm magical plant, due to the environment, Anemone Abyssilis was like a fish in water in the Ghost Water Stream. With the support of the Ghost Water Stream, its magical waterfall had an astonishing regenerative ability. Even those martial God Realm experts couldn't use their fists and legs because their hands and feet were bound by the magical waterfall. Seeing that Anemone Abyssilis could summon a large number of little tentacle sunflowers that were comparable to 9th-rank magical plants, the people of the major factions in a magical waterfall couldn't help but curse in their hearts. Damn, what the hell is this? Not only did it have a powerful regenerative ability, it could also summon little tentacle sunflowers that were just as strong. Where did Anemone Abyssilis come from? Why had they never heard of such a strange magical plant in the Ghost Water Stream? Compared to the magical plant in front of them, the scarlet flame tree trunks in the misty forest were nothing. Although Ing Yu and Ing Chuan were far away, they could see everything clearly. Seeing the strange appearance of King Anemone Abyssilis, the two trembled with fear. At the same time, they secretly rejoiced that they didn't rashly enter the Ghost Water Stream. Otherwise, if the martial God Realm experts couldn't kill this magical plant in a short time, wouldn't their lives be in danger? However, Ing Yu and Ing Chuan couldn't help but wonder how Yunsheng knew that there was such a powerful magical beast in the Ghost Water Stream. Little Sunflower is very impressive. Huh? It can only show off in a place like Ghost Water Stream. On land, you can't even compare to a single strand of hair from this world god. Bobo's sheep snorted. To be honest, when he saw the Abyss Tentacle Sunflower in the limelight, he really felt a little itchy. He couldn't wait to go up and trample on that group of martial gods. However, the main character would always appear at the end. It was better to let a small character like little Kue charge first. Hearing what Popping Sheep said, Ing Chuan and Ing Yu were dumbstruck. Could it be that the terrifying aquatic magical plant was also Yunsheng's summoned beast? This was too inconceivable. When had Yunsheng done something in the dark? The two of them looked at Kissing Sheep, then looked at Dollar, and then looked at King Anemone Abyssilis in Ghost Water Stream, who had forced the heroes into a daze. There was only one thought in their minds. Wasn't this too monstrous? A magical beast that could talk wasn't enough. A ferocious beast that could slaughter 1,000 people wasn't enough. She actually had a summoned beast that was comparable to a demigod magical plant. It seemed that their understanding of Yunsheng was only the tip of the iceberg. No wonder Father said that after reaching Ghost Water Stream, they had to listen to all her orders. Perhaps only by following Yunsheng would they be able to enter the Ghost King cave smoothly. The number of summoners in the underworld was much fewer than in the Boundless Land. Ing Yu and Ing Chuan had met a few summoners before, but those people could only control one magical beast. They had never seen anyone who could control multiple magical beasts so easily like Yunsheng. They had never seen anyone like her. While the two of them were lamenting, there was only one thought in their minds. Fortunately, they weren't Yunsheng's enemies. Otherwise, they would definitely end up in a miserable state. Yunsheng didn't pay attention to the reactions of Bobo's sheep, Yingyu, and the others. She was staring at the magical waterfall. "Master, I can't hold on for much longer. Please pass through quickly." Anemone Abyssalis's voice sounded in her mind. "Don't be in a daze. It's almost time for us to enter the Ghost King cave." Yunsheng didn't let joy get to her head. Although King Anemone Abyssalis was powerful, it was still impossible for her to trap more than 10 martial gods. Moreover, as time passed, the magical waterfall's effect on Yun Tianqiu and the others would be greatly weakened. Yunsheng understood that they had to enter the Ghost King cave before the heroes broke through. As soon as Yunsheng's voice fell, Yingyu, Yingchuan, and the other spirits were lifted. They had waited bitterly for this moment for the whole night. Yunsheng and the dozen or so Hundred Thunder sect disciples were like arrows piercing through the air, shuttling back and forth as they swept toward Ghostwater Stream. Thanks to Wan Tianqiu and the others, who had cleared out the devil plants near Ghostwater Stream earlier, Yunsheng and the others entered as if there was no one there. Nearly an hour had passed. Due to the large number of martial artists and magicians killed, the originally azure magic waterfall had gradually turned dark red. It was like two bloody waterfalls, firmly trapping the major forces of the 8 counties of the underworld. Strange tentacles constantly shot out from all directions of the waterfall. The weaker disciples were killed on the spot. The Thousand Inferno sect situation wasn't much better. Wan Tianqiu had the urge to vomit blood when he saw his disciples being killed one after another. This time, he had entered the Ghost King cave and picked the most promising opponents in the sect. He hadn't expected to encounter these deadly devil plants. In less than an hour, most of his disciples had been killed. The loss this time was probably even more disastrous than C.I. Lai's failure to annihilate the Hundred Thunder sect. Wan Tianqiu was about to go mad with anger. What made Wan Tianqiu even more depressed was that he suddenly heard a few puff, puff, puff sound beside his ears. Looking over, he saw a dozen figures passing through the magic waterfall in an instant. After seeing their faces clearly, Wan Tianqiu's eyes turned red. They were from the Hundred Thunder sect. The unfamiliar female magus in the lead, Yingyu and Yingchuan, and the rest of the group all charged through the magic waterfall without using a single spell or battle skill. Their movement techniques were very fast, like shooting stars. In the blink of an eye, they swept into the depths of Ghostwater Stream and disappeared without a trace. Seeing them leave smoothly, Wan Tianqiu suddenly understood. Damn it, this was set up by the devil plants and the people from the Hundred Thunder sect. No wonder the people from the Hundred Thunder sect didn't make a move. Hundred Thunder sect, Wan Tianqiu will definitely kill your entire sect until even chickens and dogs can't rest in peace. Wan Tianqiu gnashed his teeth in anger. However, he immediately thought that there was simply no one in the Hundred Thunder Gate who had the ability to control such a powerful demonic dark plant. In the end, there was only one possibility. That devil plant didn't belong to the Hundred Thunder sect, but it belonged to that female magician. Chapter 1121. Seeing that the people from the Hundred Clan had disappeared without a trace, Wan Tianqiu quickly came up with an idea. Everyone, please listen to me. This demonic plant was secretly ambushed by those scoundrels from the Hundred Clan. If we don't cooperate, we'll lose our best chance to enter the Ghost King cave when the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros completes its god-level breakthrough. Wan Tianqiu was also an ambitious person. Under such circumstances, he did not let anger get to his head. Instead, he immediately came up with a plan. Wan Tianqiu's previous attacks did not have much effect on the magic waterfall. However, he noticed that after several attacks, the magic waterfall still showed signs of weakening. Especially just now, after Yunsheng and the people from the Hundred Clan passed through the waterfall, The power of darkness in some parts of the waterfall had weakened a little. As long as they gathered the power of all the major forces and launched a concentrated attack on the few weak spots, they would definitely be able to defeat the magic waterfall. Wan Tianqiu's words implied that he wanted to turn hostility into friendship and join forces with the experts from the 8 counties of the underworld to break through the magic waterfall. The experts from the 8 counties of the underworld were all clear-headed. They also knew that if they were still in a state of disunity, the Ghost King's inheritance and various treasures in the Ghost King Cave would most likely be divided up. The real treasures and wealth of the Ghost King were still in the Ghost King Cave. It would not be too late to settle any grudges after entering the Ghost King Cave. Immediately, Wan Tianqiu and the other 7 selected martial gods joined forces and activated the battle energy in their bodies at the same time. They formed groups of 2 and launched a unified attack on the weak spots of the magic waterfall. 8 experts in the martial god realm. With such a lineup, no matter if they were in the underworld or the boundless land, the ordinary word terrifying was not enough to describe it. In fact, when the 8 martial gods released their battle energy at the same time, the momentum was enough to collapse the mountains and split the earth. The battle energy in their bodies all exploded and was replaced by 8 powerful battle energies. The sound of water on the magic waterfall stopped flowing at that moment. A powerful energy fluctuation. Wan Tianqiu and the others roared at the same time, "Break!" Several battle energies rushed out from the magic waterfall. The combat aura was like a torrent formed after a torrential downpour. It was like 8 ferocious tigers coming down the mountain, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they attacked the magic waterfall. Countless small abyssal sea anemones were torn into pieces by the fighting aura torrent. The magic waterfall exploded, and the entire ghost water stream was filled with a loud noise. The moment the magic waterfall exploded, Yun Sheng and the others who were already in the depths of the ghost water stream also heard the loud noise. Everyone also understood that the magic waterfall that had obstructed the various major forces had been broken. Yun Sheng just frowned slightly, but there was not much difference on her face. When Yun Sheng gave the order to Anemone Abyssalis, she had already made it clear that they only needed to keep the enemy occupied and kill as many of their subordinates as possible. If he was no match for the enemy, he would quickly escape. As expected, Anemone Abyssalis followed Yun Sheng's order. As soon as the magic waterfall was broken, he disappeared without a trace with the tentacle sea anemones. This was also something she had expected. Yun Sheng, Ingwe, and the others had already entered the depths of the ghost water stream a step ahead of the other experts. More than a dozen figures flashed and disappeared in a flash. It would take at least a quarter of an hour for the people behind to catch up. A quarter of an hour might seem short, but it was more than enough for Yun Sheng. Anyway, she only wanted to enter the Ghost King Cave to find the Heart Distress Lantern. With the 8 Barons' divine artifact in hand, it should not be difficult to find the Heart Distress Lantern. "Look, it's the ghost water stream," Ing Chuan exclaimed in surprise. At the end of the ghost water stream was a messy riverbank. At the bottom of the riverbank, there was a cave. This cave looked very scary. A large number of ghost fires floated around it. The outside of the cave was shaped like a ferocious yiksha head. The entrance to the cave was at the yiksha head's mouth. A strong evil aura was emitted from the cave. Inside the cave, a black, cold, evil wind blew out from time to time. The evil wind was bone-chilling. Everyone could only circulate their fighting aura and magic power to barely stabilize themselves in the evil wind. After entering the cave, we must be extremely careful. This Ghost King Cave is very likely to have a large number of traps and even ambushes. Although Yun Sheng, Ing Yu, and the others had arrived at the entrance of the Ghost King Cave, everyone's expressions were very nervous. The Netherworld Ghost King was a great ghost genius of the Netherworld. He had a strange temperament and was temperamental. The way he did things was also both good and evil. Since he chose the Ghost King Cave as his tomb, he must have guessed that there would be outsiders who coveted the wealth in the Ghost King Cave. If they wanted to obtain his inheritance and wealth, they would have to go through a lot of hardships. Just as Yun Sheng, Ing Yu, and the others were preparing to enter the Ghost King cave to investigate, Yun Sheng's eyelids twitched. Dollar's golden eyes immediately lit up. His strong limbs exerted force, and he protected Yun Sheng under his body. Then he raised his head and let out an angry roar towards the sky. Behind him, a sharp wind assaulted them. "Everyone get down!" Yun Sheng immediately warned. Ing Yu and the others quickly came back to their senses and quickly crouched down. The rhinoceros horn was like an iron nail as it shot towards everyone. The rhinoceros horn was as hard as purple gold and could directly penetrate the body of a martial saint expert. 300 or 400 Thunder Sect disciples who didn't have time to dodge had bloody holes appear on their bodies. They bled profusely and died on the spot. Yun Sheng's first reaction was to check on Dollar's condition. Because Dollar had tried to protect her, there were a few wounds on his body. Fortunately, they were only light injuries. Ing Yu and Ing Chuan were filled with grief and indignation. When they looked back, they saw the demigod-level arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros glaring at them fiercely. Why was it here? It turned out that the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros had to go through at least 3 dark heavenly thunders in order to break through to the god level. However, when the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros was going through the tribulation, those flea-like humans invaded its territory and set the stream on fire. The arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros also felt that another powerful demonic beast's aura had appeared in the stream. Demonic beasts, especially those that had reached the king level and above, had a stronger sense of territory than humans. In anger, the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros dodged the heavenly thunders and turned around to kill those damned intruders. It was worthy of being a ferocious beast that cultivated both magic and martial arts. Even though the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros had suffered heavy injuries from the heavenly thunders, its attack power was still very strong. After shooting out a large number of rhinoceros horn spikes, it tore several hundred Thunder Sect disciples into pieces in the blink of an eye. The 100 Thunder Sect's people had been reduced from the original dozen to 5 or 6 in an instant. Moreover, time was passing by slowly. If they didn't leave soon, the other forces from the 8 counties of the underworld would arrive soon. The arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros roared, and an even more terrifying magic fluctuation formed under its feet. It was about to launch a new round of magic attacks. Chapter 1122. At this time, Dollar landed in front of Yun Sheng, turned his head, and growled at her. "Dear master, the Qilin boy said you guys go first. He'll bring up the rear. Let him deal with this ugly rhinoceros." Popping sheep reminded Yun Sheng. "Let Dollar deal with the arrow-tail rhinoceros?" Yun Sheng looked troubled. She didn't want to be separated from Yi Baiming. There were many traps in the Ghost King cave. If they were separated, there would be many variables. But Yun Sheng also understood that now wasn't the time for romance. She could feel several powerful fighting auras coming here. If they delayed any longer, Wan Tianqiu and the others would arrive. Once Wan Tianqiu and the others arrived, the situation would become more complicated. Yun Sheng looked at Dollar again. Dollar's golden eyes flashed, as if to say, "Trust him." A silent, tacit understanding passed between the two. Yun Sheng nodded heavily. Without hesitation, he signaled Ing Yu and Ing Chuan behind him with his eyes. Then, he led the last few disciples of the 100 Thunder Sect and rushed into the Ghost King cave, like an arrow leaving the bow. For dozens of years, the Ghost King cave had been guarded by it. Those ant-like humans dared to break into the Ghost King's holy land and disturb the Ghost King's peace. Seeing them enter the Ghost King cave, the arrow-tail rhinoceros rushed forward, wanting to stop them. Several biting, cold claw winds flew out. The claw winds were extremely ferocious. Even the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros, which had thick skin and rough flesh, felt a burst of burning pain wherever the claw winds passed. In the Ghost Water Stream, the demigod arrow-tail rhinoceros was the absolute ruler. Who would have thought that its ruling position would be challenged again and again? The arrow-tail rhinoceros's ugly face was full of anger. The arrow-tail rhinoceros roared at Dollar, but Dollar didn't move. Dollar's contempt made the arrowtail rhinoceros even angrier. In terms of size, the arrowtail rhinoceros was like a moving hill. In its eyes, Dollar was just a little bigger than an ordinary darkfire leopard. Looking at its body again, there were no excessively powerful dark energy fluctuations. Behind the arrow-tailed battle rhinoceros, its half-a-meter-long tail stood up. It was as if several archers had raised their bows at the same time, and the rhinoceros horn shot out. Whoosh, whoosh in the darkness of the night. The rhino spikes were like countless daggers. They carried a murderous aura as they surrounded Dollar. Dollar's gold eyes flashed with mockery. Regardless of whether he was a human or a member of the Chelan clan, Yi Baiming had an arrogant and unruly blood flowing in his veins. What a joke! How could he hurt him with such a weak martial arts skill? If it wasn't for the fact that he had to protect the little wildcat just now, this beast wouldn't even be able to touch its fur. Like an agile cat, Dollar's body moved quickly, dodging the rhino spike again and again. Although Dollar was dodging, his eyes never left the arrowtail rhinoceros. What Dollar was most worried about was that the rhinoceros had already completed its thunder trial. If that was the case, it would be difficult to deal with. But after taking a closer look, Dollar found that although the rhinoceros aura was stronger than before, it still hadn't reached the god level. Dollar's heart calmed down a little. As long as it hadn't reached the god level, Dollar was confident that he could kill it. Seeing that Yun Sheng and the others had already gone deep into the Ghost King cave and had disappeared, Dollar's golden eyes sharpened. He looked at the rolling clouds in the sky. The rhinoceros had been fighting for so long, but its strength hadn't weakened at all. It was worthy of being a demigod existence. If he fought head-on, he would have to expend some effort. It couldn't be bothered to fight with this stupid fellow. Maybe he could use the power of the thunder to completely annihilate this big guy. Dollar already had an idea. He first roared at the rhinoceros and jumped into the sky. The arrowtail rhinoceros wasn't going to sit still and watch Dollar escape. It roared and followed Dollar. Not long after Dollar and the arrowtail rhinoceros left, a cold gaze shot down from the sky above Ghostwater Creek. The old man with white hair and beard, Shun Jizi, stood in the dark and watched the two beasts disappear without a trace in the blink of an eye. If Yun Sheng or the other factions of the 8 counties of the underworld saw this person, they would have attacked him. This was because he was Shun Jizi of the Magic Pavilion, the man who had caused the situation. Looking at the Ghost King cave, Shun Jizi stroked his white beard. His eyes shone with suspicion. I didn't expect that little girl to be so capable. She is the first one to enter the Ghost King cave. What a shame that she's going to die at such a young age. After saying this, Shun Jizi's body flashed. He also flew into the Ghost King cave. On the other side, Dollar was leading the arrowtail rhinoceros into the sky. Just as the arrowtail battle rhino pounced, the angry cloud in the sky suddenly swallowed and spat out a bolt of dark heavenly lightning. It turned out that Dollar had pretended to run away. He was actually leading the arrowtail rhinoceros to deal with the second dark sky thunder. The dark sky thunder had been accumulating power for a long time. When the second dark sky thunder came down, its power was shocking. The dark sky thunder hit the arrowtail rhinoceros. The arrowtail rhinoceros was in pain, and it screamed in agony. It had already been hit by 2 dark sky thunders. The second one was much stronger than the first. But what surprised Dollar the most was that after the second bolt of dark sky thunder, the arrowtail rhino was still alive, even though it was in a terrible state. Its armor had been shattered by the dark sky thunder. The power of the dark sky thunder was indeed extraordinary. Its skin was cracked and was bleeding. The arrowtail rhinoceros looked as if it had just been pulled out of a pool of blood. Its eyes were red, and its white teeth were shining. But if one took a closer look, they would find that the dark sky thunder had only scratched the surface of its skin. What was worse was that after the arrowtail rhinoceros took the second dark sky thunder, there was a layer of pale gold light in its broken flesh. If that layer of light merged with the arrowtail rhinoceros bones and flesh, the arrowtail rhinoceros body would become even stronger. Oh no, I overdid it. If the third dark heavenly thunder doesn't kill it, I'm afraid this demigod-class monster will become a god. Dollar had a clear idea of what was to come. The dark sky thunder was called the dark sky thunder. The first dark sky thunder refined the skin. The second dark sky thunder refined the blood and bones. The third dark sky thunder refined the soul. The arrow-tailed rhinoceros was enraged, and it had taken the second dark sky thunder. If the third dark sky thunder was hit, the arrow-tailed rhinoceros seemed to have realized this as well. At this moment, it no longer wanted to chase Dollar. Instead, it jumped up and ran toward the angry cloud. It was obviously going to take the third dark sky thunder. It is a shame that you met me. Today, you will die even if you don't. Dollar's golden eyes turned cold. Chapter 1123. Angry clouds rolled in the sky. The third dark heavenly thunder broke through the clouds and headed straight for the arrow-tailed rhinoceros. The arrow-tailed rhinoceros felt as if it had reached the moment of its breakthrough. But at this moment, a golden magic array suddenly appeared beside the angry clouds. Under the effect of the golden magic array, the black clouds that were originally as black as mud were instantly dyed with a layer of gold. The clouds churned even more violently. Another bolt of golden lightning shot out from the clouds. That bolt of lightning merged with the third heavenly thunder of darkness that had already formed, forming a super heavenly thunder of gold and black colors. It hung above the arrow-tailed rhinoceros's head like a golden and black greatsword. The arrow-tailed rhinoceros's eyes were filled with fear. It looked at the greatsword as if it was looking at the Grim Reaper's scythe. The greatsword appeared out of thin air, and with a boom, it pierced through the arrow-tailed rhinoceros's head. The arrow-tailed rhinoceros didn't even have a chance to struggle before its god soul was destroyed. In the dark night, the ghost water stream was illuminated. The arrow-tailed rhinoceros that had been struck by the golden and black super heavenly thunder burned fiercely and turned into a fireball, like a sun that had been shot down. The burning demon sky thorn was an upgraded version of the dark heavenly thorn that Yi Baiming had learned after learning the burning demon spell that Popping Sheep had given him. It was a super spell that could destroy souls. After seeing the arrow-tailed rhinoceros withstand the power of the two heavenly thunders, Dollar had an idea. Why didn't he just use the power of the dark heavenly thunder and combine it with a super spell to destroy the arrow-tailed rhinoceros's soul? The arrow-tailed rhinoceros that had been roaming the ghost water stream for more than 20 years had fallen. The huge commotion in the sky startled the entire ghost water stream. The elites from the 8 counties of the underworld who were rushing to the Ghost King cave also witnessed this scene. The fierce fire made the 1,000-character on Dollar's body even more dazzling. Hiss! Everyone, including the Einherjars, took a deep breath. There was only one thought in their minds. What a beast! The one who was the most shocked was Wan Tianqiu. He also recognized that the golden demonic beast was the demonic beast that was following beside Yunsheng. Wan Tianqiu could tell that the demonic beast was extraordinary. It seemed to have the spiritual awareness of a human and knew how to use strategies. What was even more frightening was that its physique was as strong as a warrior's, but it could also use powerful super magic. Compared to the demigod rank arrow-tail battle rhinoceros, it was even harder to deal with. Thinking of this, Wan Tianqiu rejoiced. Fortunately, they had not acted on impulse and caused trouble for the 100-ring gate. Otherwise, the 1,000 Hell sect would have been the ones to be killed today. But what Dollar did next shocked the crowd. After combining with the Dark Thunder and killing the arrow-tail rhino, Dollar did not leave immediately. Instead, he looked at the angry cloud in the sky. Dollar was deep in thought. Although the cloud had experienced 3 dark heavenly thunders, it still contained a significant amount of dark magic power. If it could absorb and fuse with it, it would definitely be beneficial to its cultivation. When Yi Baiming was in his human form, his cultivation had already reached the Einherjar realm. However, although his Kirin body had been trained by the burning demon incantation, he still could not break through to the god rank. Therefore, he did not directly fight the arrow-tail rhino with his body. Instead, he chose to fight with magic, which he had a higher chance of winning. The arrow-tail rhino was an earth element demonic beast. Although it practiced both magic and martial arts, its magic cultivation was obviously inferior to its physical cultivation. What it had mastered was only high-level magic. Naturally, it was at a disadvantage in front of Dollar, who had a multi-elemental magic soul. Dollar knew that if he did not have a stronger physical body, he would be at a disadvantage again when he fought with the beast god altars of the obsidian and bakra orcs. The dark, angry cloud in front of it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for it. He jumped with all his 4 limbs and rushed toward the angry dark cloud. Wan Tianqiu was also in the crowd. When they heard the sound, they looked up and saw a golden light rushing toward the angry dark cloud. That is, Wan Tianqiu was shocked. Was this demonic beast crazy? Why did it rush toward the angry dark cloud? Even the demigod-ranked arrowtail battle rhinoceros wasn't a match for the dark fury cloud. As soon as Dollar rushed into the angry cloud rolled violently and wrapped around him. The angry cloud instantly swallowed the golden demonic beast. You overestimate yourself. Wan Tianqiu was delighted. He was worried that with this beast around, he would not be able to defeat the 100-ren gate in the Ghost King Cave. He did not expect this demonic beast to go crazy and rush toward the angry cloud. At this moment, he was afraid that it would be torn to pieces by the power of the angry dark cloud. The major forces of the 8 counties of the underworld did not stay any longer. They rushed toward the Ghost King Cave. Not long after the heroes left, the angry cloud in the sky still did not disperse. About half an hour later, with a bang, a huge black shadow that looked like a Qilin suddenly appeared around the angry cloud. The Qilin shadow suddenly opened its mouth and swallowed the dark cloud in one gulp. The angry cloud seemed to want to struggle, but in the end, it could not resist the power of the Qilin shadow and was completely swallowed. After the angry dark cloud disappeared, the shadow gradually shrank and turned into Dollar. Compared to before he swallowed the angry cloud, Dollar's body did not change much. However, upon closer inspection, his limbs were slender and the scales on his body shone brighter. Tisk, just a little bit more to become a demonic beast of the god level. Dollar smacked his lips as if he had eaten something delicious. In both the human world and the underworld, Dollar was probably the only person who would dare to swallow the angry dark cloud and act so nonchalant. Because he had already used up 3 dark heavenly thunders, the remaining power in the angry dark cloud was not enough for Dollar's soul to reach the god level. However, after devouring the dark raging clouds, its flesh and skin were unexpectedly tempered, and its physical strength had reached the demigod level. In addition, Dollar had an advantage in the bloodline of the Qilin. Even if the arrowtail rhinoceros came back to life, Dollar was 100% sure that he could kill it this time, even without the power of the dark heavenly thunders. What surprised Dollar even more was that when he swallowed the angry cloud, he accidentally learned the second inheritance of the Qilin's puppet, which could swallow all magic power and fighting energy. This inheritance was the inherited fighting skill of Obsidian. In this way, the next time Dollar fought Obsidian, he was much more confident. There was a hint of joy in Dollar's eyes. Chapter 1124. Last time, during the Dutian Bloodstain Crisis, He Yao had almost endangered Yunsheng's life. Yi Baiming had always been brooding over it. Although he didn't say it out loud, all these years he had cultivated fiercely with only one goal, which was to protect the person he loved. To the current Yi Baiming, Yunsheng was his reverse scale. Whoever touched her would die. Although he had the body of a Qilin like He Yao, Yi Baiming realized that even though they were both martial gods, there was still a big gap between him and He Yao. In addition to the difference in cultivation conditions between the 8 Desolates continent and the Boundless continent, there was another reason. Yi Baiming hadn't received the Qilin tribe's inheritance awakening ceremony. Unlike Duguxiu, Yi Baiming had always hated He Yao. He wouldn't accept any gifts or help from the Black Qilin tribe. Not to mention, He Yao wanted to force him to marry He Linlin. Due to the lack of the Black Qilin tribe's inheritance awakening ceremony, Yi Baiming's first inheritance awakened after fusing with part of the halberd of the divine battle god's power. But after that, he hadn't been able to obtain any other inheritance. However, this time, when he swallowed the angry dark cloud, he unexpectedly obtained an inheritance. This was a big gain for him. His joy didn't last long. Dollar also noticed that when he swallowed the angry cloud, the experts of the 8 underworld counties had already entered the Ghost King Cave. It had been an hour since Yun Sheng and the others entered the Ghost King Cave. He hoped that nothing happened to Yun Sheng and the others during this hour. Dollar no longer hesitated and rushed toward the Ghost King Cave. After parting with Dollar, Yun Sheng, Yu, and the others entered the Ghost King Cave. After entering, they saw a small path that could accommodate a normal person. The path was winding like sheep intestines. After walking for about 15 minutes, the narrow path gradually widened. Yu and Chuan felt a strong wind blowing toward them. When the wind blew on their faces, it was like a sharp blade, causing them to feel pain. The wind contained the power of darkness, causing Yu and Chuan to tremble all over. Even their bones felt cold. The Ghost King Cave was indeed worthy of its reputation. Unlike Yu and Chuan's abnormal reactions, Yinsheng only felt that this Ghost King Cave was very comfortable. Her black eyes narrowed with a hint of laziness. In the depths of her Dharma soul, a carefree and comfortable feeling came. She took a deep breath. What a dense power of darkness. Yun Sheng could feel that her Dharma soul was like a fish in water in the Ghost King Cave. In a short time, it had expanded by its size. Back in the boundless land, Yun Sheng's dark Dharma soul had always been weaker than the other Dharma souls due to the lack of a cultivation environment. However, after arriving in the netherworld, Yun Sheng discovered that her dark Dharma soul's cultivation speed had increased by a lot. Yun Sheng was certain that as long as she stayed in the Ghost King Cave for a few days, her dark magic soul would definitely undergo a qualitative change. Unfortunately, there was not much time left for her. The other forces of the 8 counties of the netherworld should be catching up soon. It was pitch black in front of them. With their outstanding eyesight, everyone discovered that the Ghost King Cave was very moist. The water dripping from the cracks of the rocks was bone-chilling. My dear master, this place is not simple. I'm afraid there are evil spirits. Xiao He, who was kissing a sheep, looked around with her beady eyes. She could sense that there were a large number of evil spirits wandering around in this cave. The aura of these evil spirits was not weak. They should have the strength of a human martial saint or a sky magician or a demon beast sage. Although they were not the strongest, they had the advantage of numbers. If they surrounded them together, it would not be easy to deal with them. As they were speaking, a gray shadow floated out from behind a 100 Thunder sect disciple. It suddenly turned into a roaring, evil spirit wolf and pounced on that disciple. Beast, don't make trouble. Yu released the bow in her hand. With a whoosh, the arrow shot through that evil spirit. However, not long after the evil spirit fog disappeared, it gathered together again. After regrouping, the baleful specter let out a series of ghostly wails and howls. After the wail, a large number of gray, evil spirits appeared in the vicinity. Those evil spirits were either in human form or beast form. They all bared their fangs and brandished their claws, pouncing on the crowd. Suddenly, in the cave, there was a long and clear sound, like the sound of a flute and a flute. A fiery red beast figure appeared. In the fire, a divine bird with red feathers like a phoenix suddenly appeared. It flapped its fiery wings, and the feathers all over its body fluttered. When those fiery feathers touched those evil spirits, they turned into purifying flames. Those evil spirits had nowhere to escape and were instantly burned into green smoke, disappearing. The thing that appeared in the Ghost King Cave was one of the 4 divine beasts, the Vermilion Bird Totem. The Vermilion Bird Totem was the only fire beast among the 4 great divine beasts. Its fire feather transformed into the purest fire beast. All evil and evil would retreat in front of it. As if they knew that such a divine beast totem had appeared in the Ghost King Cave, the evil spirits in the surroundings all fled. Yu, Chuan, and the disciples of the 100 sect had long been awed by the vermilion bird totem. They could only stare blankly with their mouths agape, unable to say a word. Vermilion bird totem, please lead us into the depths of the Ghost King cave. Yun Sheng waved her hand, and the vermilion bird totem flew lightly into the depths of the Ghost King cave. Yun Sheng had 3 divine beasts totem. Each divine beast could only be summoned once. In order to get rid of these evil spirits, she had no choice but to summon the vermilion bird. With the vermilion bird totem, the rest of the journey was very smooth. They did not encounter any traps or ambushes. Finally, they reached the end of the Ghost King cave. The end of the Ghost King cave was a dead end. In the 4 corners of the dead end, there were 4 magic arrays. Although the Netherworld Ghost King had been dead for 20 years, these magic arrays hidden in the depths of the Ghost King cave were still full of magic power. Master, these 4 magic arrays are not places I should enter. The vermilion bird totem can only accompany you up to here. After the vermilion bird totem finished speaking, it turned into a flame and attached itself to Yun Sheng's Shenong medical bracelet. Why are there 4 magic arrays? Which one should we go to? Ying Yu and Ying Chuan hesitated. Yun Sheng stopped in front of the 4 magic arrays for a moment. She had learned some magic when she was in the mainland's magic elite camp. After observing for a moment, she indeed found some clues. Ying Yu, Ying Chuan, among these magic arrays, 2 are teleportation magic arrays, and the other 2 are cultivation magic arrays. The purpose of the 2 of you entering the Ghost King cave is to cultivate. I suggest that you and the remaining disciples enter one of the cultivation magic arrays. Yun Sheng observed for a moment and understood the function of the magic arrays. Chapter 1125. Ying Yu and Ying Chuan were very grateful. They knew each other's strength very well. Before leaving, Ying Hai had told them that the treasures in the Ghost King cave were not something they could take. Instead of fighting for treasures and the Ghost King's inheritance with those experts who were about to charge in, they might as well concentrate and cultivate in the Ghost King cave for a while. If they could make a breakthrough, their trip to the Ghost King cave would be worth it. Take care of yourself. I hope we can meet again. Ying Chuan looked at Yun Sheng with regret in his eyes. Ying Chuan had a good impression of Yun Sheng when he first saw her. He had never felt this way in his 20 years of life. Unfortunately, he wished he could have met her before she was married. He had learned from Ying Yu that Yun Sheng was already married. Her husband was the gold-colored demonic beast that had accompanied her all the way to the underworld. Ying Chuan had no idea why Yun Sheng would marry a demonic beast. However, in the underworld, where strength was everything, Dollar's strength was enough to convince Ying Chuan. Dollar was able to kill Stiller in one hit and had the guts to fight against the demigod rank arrowtail battle rhinoceros. Such strength was beyond Ying Chuan's imagination. Just now, outside the ghost water stream, Yun Sheng's demonic beast had revealed its terrifying strength. This made Ying Chuan realize that he was not worthy of a woman like Yun Sheng. No matter if it was Yun Sheng or Dollar, they were both in the underworld and the human world. Geniuses matched geniuses. They were the perfect match for each other. Ying Chuan had given up. The adoration in his eyes turned into sincere gratitude. Yun Sheng, I hope you can find a way to save your mother. If you come to the underworld again, remember to visit us. Ying Yu also understood that it was time for her and Yun Sheng to part ways. After the 3 exchanged a few words of farewell, Ying Yu and Ying Chuan didn't linger any longer. The 2 of them led several disciples of the 100 Thunder sect into one of the cultivation arrays. That magic array was filled with active dark energy. As long as they could pass through it, it would be very beneficial to their future cultivation. Watching Ying Yu and the others disappear into the teleportation array, Yun Sheng paced back and forth between the 2 teleportation arrays. The 2 teleportation magic arrays were identical, and there was no difference between them. The Netherworld Ghost King was a crafty fellow. Even though he knew that someone would enter the Ghost King cave, he still deliberately left behind 4 magic arrays. Yun Sheng took out the Summoning Demon Hand, one of the 8 barren divine weapons from the Beast Language Ring. When he summoned the demonic hand, nothing happened. Could it be that the teleportation magic array affected the summoning hand's ability to sense the heart distress lamp? Yunsheng stared at the unresponsive demonic hand. Then, she took out the magic bracelet and the immortal Holy Grail one after another. Without exception, none of these divine equipment had any reaction. Yunsheng felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, as long as the 8 barren divine equipment was in the Ghost King cave, it should be able to sense it. There were only 2 possibilities for there to be no magic fluctuation. 1, the heart distress lamp was not in the Ghost King cave. The other possibility was that the heart distress lamp was sealed by some kind of restriction. Thus, the other divine equipment could not sense its magic fluctuation. Whatever, I'll just choose the one on the right. Yunsheng thought for a moment and walked towards the teleportation array on the right. Just as she had 1 foot in the teleportation array, a burst of laughter came from behind her. Wan Tianqiu and several experts from the 8 counties walked out. After breaking through the magic waterfall, Wan Tianqiu and the other experts chased after them. These people were not weak. Although they encountered the fierce battle between Dollar and the arrow-tailed rhinoceros on the way, they were delayed. However, because Yunsheng used the vermilion bird totem to expel the evil spirits, they were able to enter the Ghost King cave without any obstacles. Wan Tianqiu and the other experts did not expect the Ghost King cave to be like this. Other than the fact that the cave was more secluded and the tunnel was longer, it looked no different from any other cave. Along the way, although there were no ambushes or traps, there were no treasures, battle scrolls, or magic scrolls. These people only had one thought at that time. Damn Shunjizi. When they left the Ghost King cave, the first thing they did was to smash that old man, Shunjizi's mystique pavilion. In the past 20 years, that old man had taken no less than 500 king-level soul stones from each of the experts present. Just as the experts were filled with anger and had nowhere to vent, their eyes suddenly lit up. In front of them, there were 4 magic arrays. With the eyesight of these underworld experts, how could they not see that among these magic arrays, 2 were cultivation magic arrays, and the other 2 were teleportation magic arrays? Among them, there were 2 teleportation magic arrays on the left and right. Everyone's anger turned into joy. They immediately understood that those 2 teleportation magic arrays must lead to the Ghost King cave's true treasure. However, what caught their attention was that there was a woman standing beside the teleportation magic array on the right. At first glance, the woman's appearance was like a bright sun shining into the gloomy Ghost King cave. The experts of the underworld were dazzled. The people gathered in the Ghost King cave were the leaders of the various forces of the underworld. They had many wives and concubines and had seen all kinds of beauties. However, in front of Yunsheng, they were all overshadowed. There were many kinds of women's beauty. Some were enchanting, some were young, and some were pure. However, none of them were as rare as this woman in front of them. Her black hair was like a waterfall. Her seemingly ordinary magic robe made her skin look like cream. Her beautiful black eyes were as clear as obsidian. The rarest thing was that this woman had an elegant temperament and an indescribable charm. She was a rare beauty. Suddenly bumping into such a woman in the Ghost King cave inevitably made people feel a little strange. Everyone, please give me some face. This woman has some grudges with the Thousand Hell sect. Please let me deal with her alone. Wan Tianqiu saw that Yunsheng was alone. Ying Yu and Ying Chuan, who were with her earlier, were nowhere to be seen. He knew that the people from Hundred Ring Clan must have entered the magic array. He also saw that the 2 teleportation magic arrays looked exactly the same. They must lead to different places. Instead of taking the risk to enter one of them, he might as well kill this female sorcerer first. Anyway, the teleportation array's entrance was here. Even if someone from the other forces obtained the Ghost King's inheritance or secret treasures first, they would still fight to the death in the teleportation array. Without the group of juniors from Hundred Ring Clan and the ferocious beast, this female sorcerer's ability was very ordinary. Wan Tianqiu was absolutely confident that he could kill her within 10 moves. At that time, He could even wait outside the teleportation array like a mantis stalking a cicada, unaware of the oriole behind, and finally reap the benefits. Chapter 1126. Yun Sheng did not overlook the cunning look in Wan Tianqiu's eyes. This person actually dared to target her. She would definitely let him know how big of a mistake it was to choose to stay. Wan Tianqiu and Yun Sheng glared at each other. Sparks were about to fly out of their eyes. The 8 counties of the underworld also smelled the gunpowder between the two. The other powerful figures were naturally very happy to see that there was one less competitor. They secretly thought that it was a pity that such a beautiful woman died. This one, Tianqiu, was also a ruthless person. He could even be so cruel to kill such a beautiful woman. If it were not for the fact that they were in a hurry to enter the Ghost King cave to find the Ghost King's inheritance, they could have taken this woman for their own use. No matter how beautiful a woman was, it was clear which was more important when compared to the Ghost King's inheritance. Wan Tianqiu had already started cursing in his heart when he saw the looks of pity on those powerful figures' faces. What a bunch of blind fools. This woman has the heart of a snake and scorpion. If you knew that the Thousand Yamas sect had suffered heavy casualties, and that the magic waterfall and that deadly devil plant were all her handiwork, I'd like to see who would still have a tender heart for her. The major forces of the 8 counties of the underworld chose either the left or right side of the magic array. The Ghost King cave returned to silence again. Only Yun Sheng and Wan Tianqiu were left. Little girl, don't blame me for being ruthless. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for colluding with the 100 Rin sect and murdering my 1,000 Hell sect's disciples, Wan Tianqiu said viciously. He was still a little wary of Yun Sheng previously because she had a powerful, ferocious beast by her side. But once they entered the Ghost King cave, Yun Sheng and Dollar were separated. To Wan Tianqiu, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He would first kill this female sorcerer, then capture the people from the 100 Rin sect. At that time, that old fellow, Ing Hai, would definitely compromise. You're wrong. I don't need to collude with any forces to easily kill C.I. Lai and the others. In fact, C.I. Lai was killed by my ferocious beast. The people from the Thousand Hell sect had offended me when I was of the Dongwei sect. You have committed all kinds of evil and deserve to die. Yun Sheng snorted coldly. She looked behind her. The powerful figures who entered the teleportation magic array had disappeared. There was nothing wrong with the teleportation magic array. Yun Sheng's mind was similar to Wan Tianqiu's. Since these people got there first, then forget it. She was happy to wait here. As long as someone found the Heart Distress Lantern, she would snatch it even if she had to kill them. First, so it really is you, a puny little Saint Law King. Where does your confidence come from? Haha, I forgot that you have 1,000 slaughter savage beast. You must be waiting for it to save you. Unfortunately, you will be disappointed this time. Wan Tianqiu laughed slyly. Yun Sheng was worried about Dollar. She had been in the Ghost King cave for 2 hours now, and there was still no sign of Dollar. She wondered how he and the demigod Arrowtail Rhino were doing. What do you mean? You met Jean Coin? Yun Sheng frowned. There's no need to wait. That beast has been devoured by the dark clouds. Not even a bone is left. No one can save you today. Yun Sheng's expression changed when she heard Wan Tianqiu's words. Devoured by the dark clouds? Nonsense. He won't die. Yun Sheng's heart was in her throat. But then, another voice in her heart said, No, he won't. That can't be. Before we parted, he clearly said that he wanted me to trust him. Yi Biming won't die so easily. He must still be alive. Thinking of this, Yun Sheng's heart, which was still a little shaken, immediately became firm. She had gone through life and death with Yi Biming several times. Yi Biming had never disappointed her, and he would not this time either. I and the other powerful figures saw it with our own eyes. It's true that the kind of person and the kind of magical beast. Your magical beast is just like you, overestimating its own capabilities. The power of the dark clouds is enough to shake heaven and earth. It's really ridiculous that it wants to devour the dark clouds. But don't worry, it will be with it soon. Wan Tianqiu was very cunning. Just now, He had been secretly observing Yun Sheng's strength. He had thought that the other party was something incredible, but without that savage beast, the other party was at most a saint-level guardian emperor. He wanted to see just how a law emperor was going to deal with him. After saying that, Wan Tianqiu's figure flashed like a bolt of lightning and charged towards Yun Sheng. Although Wan Tianqiu did not say it, he was a cautious person. Even if the other party's strength was not as good as his, he still made the first move and seized the best opportunity. Han Sun purposely mentioned Dollar's death to distract Yun Sheng. Then, when she wasn't prepared, he could sneak up on her and attack her. It was already disadvantageous for a mage to fight against a warrior, especially in such a narrow cave. Needless to say, Wan Tianqiu was a martial god, while Yun Sheng was just a sanctuary guardian king. The competition between the two of them seemed to be over before it started. Furthermore, Wan Tianqiu had already used 70% of his strength in this attack. He did not believe that Yun Sheng would be able to dodge his close-range attack in the blink of an eye. He only needed one move to kill his opponent. Wan Tianqiu seemed to have seen her die under his hands. However, at this moment, Yun Sheng, who was already very close to him, pulled a cold smile on her face. There was no fear in that smile, only a trace of cold, killing intent. She looked at Wan Tianqiu as if he was already a corpse. "You are not worthy for me to do it myself. I only need one finger to deal with you." A cold, knife-like voice echoed in the cave. This voice was even colder than the chilly wind in the Ghost King cave. It pierced into his flesh and bones. Wan Tianqiu's figure froze. In front, Yun Sheng really stretched out a finger. It was a middle finger. Yun Sheng also made a gesture. On her middle finger was a very ordinary ring. "Summoner? Haha, I thought it was a big deal. It turns out that you are just a summoner. Don't forget, your magical beast is already dead. Now, even if you summon it to death, no one will come to help you." Wan Tianqiu was only a few meters away from Yun Sheng. But just as Wan Tianqiu was speaking, a pink figure suddenly appeared. "Bumpkin, who told you that a summoner can only summon one magical beast? Eat this." Bobo Sheep mustered all his strength, and his little pink body turned into a pink lightning bolt. There was a loud bang in the cave. After swallowing the scarlet flame tree truncheon, the strange strength of the Kiss sheep slammed into Wan Tianqiu's back with its terrifying strength. Even a martial god realm expert like Wan Tianqiu was sent flying by the impact. A human-shaped hole suddenly appeared in the wall. Chapter 11:27. The whole process happened in the blink of an eye. Wan Tianqiu didn't react in time, and by the time he did, he was already sent flying. Wan Tianqiu only heard a suspicious sound of bones breaking coming from his abdomen. His throat rolled, and a sweet, fishy taste surged up. His face was full of disbelief when he realized that the one who attacked him was actually an unknown magical beast. The corner of Yun Sheng's mouth twitched. Although this wasn't the first time she saw Bobo's terrifying strength, she didn't expect that it could even send Wan Tianqiu, who was at the martial god level, flying. Looking at Wan Tianqiu's appearance, it was obvious that his muscles and bones were injured. "Dearest master, Bobo has grown stronger recently. Please praise me." Bobo was very proud of itself. Wan Tianqiu spat out a mouthful of old blood and almost choked himself to death. He crawled up in a sorry state. His fingers pressed on his abdomen, and a heart-wrenching pain shot up like a fire. 2 of his bones were broken. Wan Tianqiu was considered a local tyrant in Jima Commandery. Even when he fought with Ing Hai of the Bailuan sect last time, he only broke one of his ribs. His seclusion this time was said to be for healing, but in fact it was for a breakthrough. After the seclusion, his strength had indeed recovered. Most importantly, he had also comprehended a sure-kill combat skill. It was also because of this combat skill that Wan Tianqiu was confident that he could compete with the other heroes for the Ghost King's inheritance in the Ghost King cave. However, Wan Tianqiu didn't expect that he would be injured by an unknown magical beast before he could fight with a real expert. But that female magician's inconspicuous magical beast had actually injured him. The other party's movement technique was also strangely fast. Two magical beasts? You think you can do anything to me with just two magical beasts? Wan Tianqiu sneered. He roared, and the fighting aura on his body suddenly exploded. The fighting aura of the martial god shook the entire cave. From time to time, the walls would roll down at any time. Who told you that I only have two magical beasts? Beasts, let's fight. Yin Sheng's beast language ring lit up. Several summoning magic arrays appeared at the same time. What? The other party could actually summon a magical beast, and it was a group of magical beasts. Wong, 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 wong. A series of noises that made Wan Tianqiu's scalp feel like it was going to explode rang out. Numerous ferocious, soul-devouring ants flapped their wings and hovered densely within the cave. After the sharp sound, the enchanting night demon queen flipped her sexy long hair behind her. Behind her stood hundreds of demon archers with bows and arrows in their hands. Roar! Xiao Hei was the last to appear. Just from her aura alone, this mastiff-like black dog exuded a terrifying aura. This is Wan Tianqiu saw so many magical beasts and Yun Sheng leaning against the wall with a relaxed expression. I told you, I only need one finger to kill you. She smiled at Wan Tianqiu. When she smiled, there were two charming dimples at the corner of her mouth. Her dimples rippled, but there was no trace of a smile in her eyes. Wan Tianqiu's mind was roaring, and his thoughts were in a mess. He vaguely felt that something was wrong, but it was too late for him to regret. Beast go! Yin Sheng's voice was cold. Several black shadows rushed forward. Xiao Hei raised her head and howled. The originally pitch-black cave was swallowed up by even the last ray of light. Although Wan Tianqiu was in deep trouble, he did not panic. Fighting aura surged on his body and gathered together to form a fighting aura divine armor on Wan Tianqiu's body. Little armor, you can't even withstand a single blow. The demon queen sneered. She waved her hand, and the demon archers all stood behind her. Fire! Break! At the demon queen's command, the bows in the hands of the demon archers shot out at the same time. Countless demon archers' arrows condensed into a giant arrow in midair. The giant arrow aimed at the fighting aura divine armor and hit it. Wan Tianqiu only felt the blood in his chest roiling, and a crack appeared on the fighting aura divine armor. Wan Tianqiu spat out a mouthful of blood. A crack appeared on the fighting aura divine armor. The 100-legged ant general led a group of ant soldiers and swarmed forward like maggots. Countless ant soldiers squeezed through the cracks. Soon, Wan Tianqiu became an ant-man covered in soul-devouring ants. The heart-wrenching pain made Wan Tianqiu feel that even his soul was about to be gnawed away. Very soon, the soul-devouring ants had completely devoured Wan Tianqiu's strong body. This scene was a bit horrifying. Wan Tianqiu, who did not have much flesh on his body, was like a skeleton. Through the white bones, one could see the beating heart under Wan Tianqiu's abdomen. Wan Tianqiu's current appearance made him feel even worse than if he were to be killed directly. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. I originally wanted to let you die a quick death. His hand gesture suddenly changed. His hands made a strange finger gesture, and he suddenly hit the top of his head with his palm. With a muffled crack, Qiu Wantian, whose skull had shattered, did not die. Wan Tianqiu's face turned ferocious. His face, facial features, mouth, nose, ears, and eyes almost at the same time emitted clouds of black gas. The black gas was like countless small snakes. At the same time, Wan Tianqiu's entire body condensed into a blood-colored pillar of light that was dozens of feet long. With a bang, it tore through the sky. Under countless gazes, it fiercely smashed into the black ball of light below. The black gas caused his entire body to rapidly change. His body and face, which were originally white bones, actually grew skin at a speed visible to the naked eye. Under the skin, the muscles, blood, and tendons were also rapidly growing. At the same time, Wan Tianqiu's appearance also underwent an astonishing change. Under his lips, Two long fangs protruded. His limbs were bent, and his hair had turned dark green. He looked like an evil spirit. Bobo, dear master, this is bad. This guy has cultivated an evil path. He actually knows evil transformation. When Bobo Sheep saw Wan Tiancho's appearance, he shuddered. When the cultivators of the human world reached a certain level of cultivation, they would use the blood of magical beasts to temper their flesh, blood, skin, and bones. When they were enraged, they would undergo beast blood berserk. As for Wan Tiancho, when he was in seclusion, he had stimulated his potential and comprehended a special battle skill called evil transformation. The baleful aura that he normally absorbed exploded out in an instant. The attack power produced was at least several times higher than usual. Martial artists in this situation were called evil martial artists. Not only that, under the condition of evil transformation, they were invulnerable to swords and spears and were immune to magic. They were the most difficult to deal with. Chapter 1128. Tisk, Wan Tiancho, this old thief, is really a cockroach that can't be killed. Yin Sheng's pupils contracted as a sense of danger suddenly arose. She had never imagined that Wan Tiancho would still be able to turn fiendish after being forced to such a state. She had miscalculated this time. Before turning fiendish, Wan Tiancho's cultivation had already reached the intermediate martial god level, while Yin Sheng's demonic beasts were mostly king level. There was a certain gap in their battle. Yin Sheng had originally planned to use her advantage in numbers to slowly wear down Wan Tiancho and finally kill him in one fell swoop. Who would have thought that after Wan Tiancho turned fiendish, his cultivation had increased by a large margin? Wan Tiancho had most likely reached the peak of the martial god level. He was only inches away from the Dark Qilin King, He Yao. Seeing that things had come to this, Yin Sheng could only brace herself and command her demonic beasts to attack Wan Tiancho one after another. Wan Tiancho, who had turned into a fiendish warrior, had a violent temperament and astonishing strength. He shook his iron fist, and fiendish fighting aura whistled around him, forming a small black whirlwind. The whirlwind swept toward the demon warriors with a whoosh. The whirlwind rushed into the demon warriors like a human-shaped meat grinder. Only the sound of bones and meat being crushed could be heard. Dozens of demon warriors had already been turned into pools of mangled meat. Jie, seeing that her soldiers were all killed, Queen Night Demon's pitch-black skin flushed red with anger. She suddenly flew a few feet higher. In the cave, the demon warriors sang melodiously. The song contained a bewitching voice that could bewitch people's hearts. But Wan Tiancho was indifferent to this heart-tugging song. He was expressionless as his fists made crackling sounds. In the next moment, his figure suddenly landed beside Queen Night Demon like a ghost. His fists were like a storm, attacking Queen Night Demon. With a loud bang, Queen Night Demon's song came to an abrupt end. Her body fell to the ground like a kite with a broken string. Seeing that the Night Demon Queen was seriously injured, the other magical beasts, who had formed a deep friendship with her in the exquisite beast tower, were furious. Xiaohe leaped like a tiger cub and turned into a black arrow, darting behind Wan Tiancho. Wan Tiancho took a few steps back and disappeared in front of Xiaohe. He suddenly appeared behind Xiaohe and swept his leg across Xiaohe's spine with the force of 1,000 pounds. With this stomp, even a 250-kilogram boulder would be reduced to dust. Xiaohe howled in pain as she was ruthlessly swept away and fell to the ground. Yin Sheng was shocked when she saw this. She didn't expect Wan Tiancho, who had turned into an evil spirit warrior, to be so unstoppable. Bo, you don't have a way to temporarily move him. Yin Sheng clenched her magic scepter as several feasible plans appeared in her mind. Dear Master, this is the underworld. Bobo can't use the divine skill Exile. Only that stinky god of the underworld can use the divine skill Exile, Bobo said with a sad face. Bobo was also furious when he saw his little friends getting injured one by one. But he couldn't do anything except sneak attacks with monstrous strength. He didn't have any other skills. He was a world god in the human world, but in the underworld, he didn't have the ability to exile people from the underworld. However, dear master, Bobo has another idea. You have the magic god bracelet. If you can break through to the magic god level as soon as possible, combined with the power of the magic god bracelet, you'll be able to defeat this old monster who is neither human nor ghost. The magic god bracelet had a certain magic enhancement effect, but only in the hands of a true magic god could it display its strongest effect. Bobo, it's not easy to break through to the magic god level. Although your master is somewhat monstrous, I'm not abnormal. Yunsheng couldn't help but smile bitterly. Yunsheng's cultivation speed was one of the best in the entire human world, and even in the underworld. The only ones who could surpass her talent were Yi Baiming and Ji Rumo, who was transformed from the Destiny Mirror. But they only broke through to the magic god level when they were in their 20s. Yunsheng had been stuck at the saint level for many years. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't break through to the magic god level in one go. She was now at a bottleneck. It was too difficult for her to break through to the magic god level at this time. Dear master, you might not be able to do it in other places, but this is the Ghost King's cave. Take a look at the 2 cultivation magic arrays behind you. These 2 magic arrays were most likely left behind by the phantasm Ghost King when he was cultivating. Pop, pop. I can feel a very powerful dark energy coming from them. As long as you enter one of the cultivation magic arrays and absorb the dark energy within, you can rely on your dark magic soul to break through and become the first dark magic god in the human world. Popping Sheep explained, a dark magic god, that was such an awesome existence. Bubbling Sheep thought that if his master became a dark magic god in the underworld, he would have a huge backer in the future. That stinky iceberg, Nether God, didn't dare to challenge it. When Yunsheng heard this, her expression changed slightly. What Baby Sheep said might not be 100% successful, but it might not be impossible. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Yunsheng and Baby Sheep were talking, a few more pools of blood appeared on the ground. The centipede ant general led the flying ants to retreat under Wan Tianqiu's swift and violent attacks. Wan Tianqiu was like a ghost, shuttling through the swarm of ants. Every time he swept past, the wind from his fists blasted a group of flying ants into a pool of blood. If this continued, the centipede ant general's flying ant army would soon be defeated. Queen Knight Demon and Xiao He were both seriously injured, and the centipede ant general was also defeated. This was the first time in Yunsheng's 10 years of life that she had encountered such a big crisis. In a moment of desperation, Yunsheng became calmer. Her black eyes were fixed on Wan Tianqiu. The evil spirit Wan Tianqiu was like a killing machine. His fists were like thunder, and his movements were like a hurricane. He looked invulnerable, but his eyes... Yunsheng noticed that Wan Tianqiu's eyes were like a fool who had lost focus. His fists and strikes were all like a robot's. In other words, although Wan Tianqiu was given the invincible physique of an evil spirit warrior, it made him lose his consciousness and become an uncontrollable killing machine. Yunsheng thought of something. With a wave of her hand, a purple-gold figure appeared beside her. Tycoon Jean, stop him! As soon as Yunsheng gave the order, Tycoon Jean shot out with a whoosh and rushed in front of Wan Tianqiu. Tycoon Jean and Wan Tianqiu. One was an immortal Dharma artifact of eternal life, and the other was an evil spirit warrior who could annihilate a willful puppet killing machine. It was still unknown who was stronger in the battle between the two. Chapter 1129. Wan Tianqiu sensed that there was an enemy approaching, so he punched out with both fists. The fierce wind from his fist was like 2 fierce tigers coming down from the mountain, charging toward Tycoon Jean. Tycoon Jean was indeed brave. He rushed forward and pushed out both fists without dodging. Boom! The fierce wind from his fists collided. Both of them took a few steps back at the same time. There were several footprints that were more than half an inch deep under their feet. After counting carefully, Wan Tianqiu took 5 steps back, while Tycoon Jean took 6 steps back. As if sensing that this new enemy was very strong, Wan Tianqiu, who was originally murderous, was also a little afraid. For a moment, he didn't attack again. Yunsheng took the opportunity to search for the exquisite beast pagoda from the beast language ring. She put away the few injured magical beasts, and with a bounce of her feet, she rushed toward a magic array. After Wan Tianqiu turned into a demon, Yunsheng couldn't defeat him for a long time. She knew that Tycoon Jean could only barely hold him back. If she wanted to defeat Wan Tianqiu, there was only one way, and that was to enter the cultivation magic array as soon as possible to improve her cultivation, just like what Baby Sheep said. Yunsheng stepped into the cultivation magic array, and the noise in the cave suddenly disappeared. The moment Yunsheng entered the cultivation magic array, Yunsheng's eyes lit up. In a dark corner of the Ghost King cave, no one noticed that there was an extra pair of blood-red eyes. This time, you guessed it right by accident. A voice that sounded like laughter and sarcasm sounded faintly. Wan Tianqiu and Tycoon Jean were still fighting. Wan Tianqiu, who had lost his mind, didn't realize that Yunsheng, who he wanted to kill, had disappeared. When she entered the cultivation magic array, Yunsheng had the illusion that she had jumped into a pool. She only felt that her whole body was wet and cold, and her teeth couldn't help but chatter. Since Yingyu, Yingchuan, and the other members of the Hundred Thunder sect had already entered the other cultivation magic array, the cultivation magic array that Yunsheng chose to use to break through to the magic god realm was the other of the two cultivation magic arrays. However, she did not expect that there would be another world within the magic array left behind by the phantasm Ghost King. Before entering the cultivation magic array, Yunsheng had thought that the magic array left behind in the Ghost King cave would be similar to the magic tower of trials of the Royal Magic Academy students. But when she saw the situation inside the magic array, she realized that what Popping Sheep said was most likely true. This place was really the phantasm Ghost King's cultivation ground. Rather than calling this place a magic array, it would be more accurate to call it a magic cave. The cave was about 10 square meters in size, and there was nothing inside. On the ground, there was a flowing black stream. The wet feeling that Yunsheng felt earlier was because of this stream. In the middle of the cave, there was a black dark magic crystal. That crystal was carved into the shape of an ice bed. It was completely black, like a starless night sky. Regardless of whether it was the ice bed or the flowing black stream on the ground, they all emitted a rich, dark magic energy. Whether it was in the human world or the underworld, Yunsheng had never seen such pure, dark magic energy. Popping. Dear Master, you've struck gold. This is the dark magic spring and dark magic crystal core. Popping Sheep was so excited that he almost had a nosebleed. It was a pity that Baby Sheep couldn't absorb the dark magic elements and could only watch helplessly as it absorbed the dark magic elements. In the magical world, dark magic elements existed in many forms. The most basic form of magic was dark magic energy. This was also a more common form of existence in the Boundless Continent. Dark magic energy existed in the form of gas. But in reality, the richer the dark magic energy, the more diverse the forms it existed in. For example, it could exist in the form of a magic spring or a magic crystal core. But these two forms did not exist in the Boundless Continent, where dark magic energy was scarce. Thus, the dark magicians in the Boundless Continent did not have a strong cultivation base, let alone a dark magician. But it was different in the underworld. The underworld was where most of the Een energy gathered. The dark magic energy here was rich. The Netherworld Ghost King had used some unknown method to seal the dark magic spring and magic crystal core in this cultivation magic array. You're saying? As long as I absorb these magic spring and magic crystal cores, I can break through to become a dark magician? Yunsheng had gradually adapted to the rich dark magic energy in the magic cave. She could feel that after entering the magic cave, her dark magician soul was like a fish in water. It almost let out a satisfied moan. Dear Master, you can't become a fatty with just one bite. Seeing that they had entered the magic array, Popping Sheep knew that old man Wan Tianqiu would not be able to barge in so quickly. Popping Sheep wandered around the cave and quickly came to a conclusion. According to the number of dark magic spring and magic crystal cores left in the magic cave, it was obvious that the Netherworld Ghost King had not been able to absorb all of these magic spring and magic crystal cores. Dear Master, your strength is far inferior to the Phantasm Ghost King's by more than a little. Therefore, it is impossible for you to absorb all of the dark magic spring and dark crystal cores here. Be careful of the excessive dark magic energy. Your dark magician's soul will explode. As long as you can absorb all of the magic spring water here, you will be able to break through to become a dark magician, Popping Sheep said confidently. Yunsheng was skeptical. She walked in front of the dark crystal core bed and touched it with her hand. A cold feeling suddenly drilled into her fingertips. As if she had been electrocuted, Yunsheng immediately retracted her hand. Popping Sheep was right. If she rashly absorbed the dark magic energy here, her magician's soul would not be able to withstand it. We can't let such a large crystal core go to waste. Since the Netherworld Ghost King is already dead, let's dig out this dark magic crystal core and take it with us. Yunsheng did as she said and nimbly released a few earth spikes. The earth spikes went up and down, left and right. In a short while, they had completely dug out the magic crystal core that had been cut into the shape of a bed. Seeing his master's bandit-like behavior, Popping Sheep's body, which was flying in the air, almost froze and fell down. Popping Sheep used its wings to wipe its forehead. As expected of its dear master. Her actions were indeed shameless. That large piece of dark magic crystal core weighed about 300 to 400 pounds. After Yunsheng dug it out, she unceremoniously stored it in the exquisite beast pagoda. After storing the magic crystal core for her own use, Yunsheng sat down cross-legged and entered the celestial meditation state. Chapter 1130. Celestial meditation was a special meditation method that Yunsheng had learned from her dark gold-ranked teacher. Its meditation effects were several times better than ordinary meditation and deep meditation. Yunsheng quickly entered a state of complete selflessness. The surroundings were silent. Popping Sheep squatted on Yunsheng's shoulder, its beady eyes staring at the dark magic spring in the cave. Suddenly, Popping Sheep felt that its master was a little strange. A cloud-shaped object appeared above its master's head. Popping Sheep knew that this was the most important Dharma soul for a magician. It was different from the Dharma souls of ordinary people. Yunsheng's Dharma soul was 5-colored. No, it should be said that it was 6-colored now. Her Dharma soul originated from Yi Baiming, and the new light Dharma soul came from Ji Romo. At this moment, that Dharma soul was quietly floating above Yunsheng's head. After sensing the powerful dark magic power in the magic cave, the gray area in Yunsheng's Dharma soul became active. Due to the lack of dark magic power in the boundless continent all year round, the Dharma soul became more and more powerful. Among all of Yunsheng's Dharma souls, the dark Dharma soul was only stronger than the newly formed light Dharma soul. It was much weaker compared to the wind, fire, water, and wood Dharma souls of the other 4 elements. If one had to describe it, Yunsheng's Dharma souls now, the weakest light Dharma soul was similar in shape to a crack. It was still in its infancy stage. As for Yunsheng's dark Dharma soul, it was relatively stronger, but it was still in its infancy stage. In comparison, the other Dharma souls were roughly in their adulthood stage. It was clear at a glance which was stronger and which was weaker. Although there were many Dharma souls, the difference in strength between them was relatively large. This was also the reason why Yunsheng had been unable to break through to become a Dharma soul. And this time, Yunsheng wanted to make use of the magic cave left behind by the Ghost King to improve her dark Dharma soul. Yunsheng's Dharma soul of darkness seemed to have a life of its own in the Netherworld's magic array. It emitted a dark gray light. When the light shone on the dark magic spring on the ground of the cave, it was as if someone had forcefully stuffed a handful of firewood into the ground. The dark magic spring that was quietly flowing on the ground suddenly began to boil. The dark magic spring became more and more violent. Soon, Yunsheng felt as if she was standing in the middle of a fountain filled with smoke. The steam and bubbles from the boiling magic spring water wet her magic robe, hair, and eyelashes. The spring water quickly turned into mist and attached itself to Yunsheng's Dharma soul. Like countless little worms, they drilled into her Dharma soul. Yunsheng's Dharma soul was expanding at an alarming rate. Yunsheng's expression kept changing. A dark cloud-like shadow appeared on her forehead. Baby Sheep, who was squatting on Yunsheng's shoulder, also became nervous. It blinked its eyes and swallowed its saliva silently. It noticed that Yunsheng's brows were tightly knitted together on her beautiful face. Even though she was standing in the middle of the boiling dark magic spring, its master's body was as cold as ice. Her teeth were biting her lips. Her limbs had become extremely stiff because she was enduring the pain. Dark red blood immediately seeped out from her tender lips. Tears welled up in Baby Sheep's black bean-like eyes. Sob, sob, it really wanted to be able to suffer in place of its master. As Yunsheng's life-summoned beast, Baby Sheep had lived with Yunsheng for more than 10 years. It was very clear that its master was a person whose mind and soul were equally strong. To be able to make her suffer like this dark magic spring was indeed very powerful. Baby Sheep felt a little regretful. If it had known that its little master was going to suffer like this, it wouldn't have come up with such a lousy idea to let its master break through to the Dharma God realm. If worst came to worst, it could have asked that smelly god of the underworld for help. As long as that smelly god of the underworld came, even Tenwan Tiancho would be smacked to death by his sleeves. At this moment, the shadowy dark cloud between Yunsheng's brows had turned completely black. That blackness was tumbling and gradually forming a hideous ghost face. That ghost face, with its green face and fangs, made Yunsheng's entire face look as if it was shrouded in the aura of death. It was eerie, as if it would devour her at any time. That ghost face was actually even more eerie and terrifying than Wan Tiancho's demonic appearance. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, and its range was still expanding. It seemed like it was going to devour Yunsheng's entire body by force. Baby Sheep was instantly enraged when it saw this scene. Oh no! Baby Sheep was anxious. Could it be that its master was in a hurry to succeed and accidentally went berserk while absorbing the dark magic spring? Was she invaded by the demonic aura and turned into a demonic aura? The breakthrough of a dark sorcerer was no small matter. Compared to the other professions, it was even more difficult, especially its master, who was going to break through and become the first dark sorcerer in the mortal world and the underworld. As dark magic power was a very sensitive magic power, if one was slightly careless or had a weak mind, it was very likely that they would turn into a demonic aura during the process of advancement. The result would be that they would become a demonic sorcerer like Wan Tiancho, who is neither human nor ghost. No, Baby Sheep helped master. Baby Sheep could not hold back anymore. It flapped its wings and flew up. But the moment Baby Sheep flew up, the beast language ring on Yunsheng's finger suddenly flew out and floated beside Yunsheng. Baby Sheep stared at the beast language ring in shock. Something flew out from the beast language ring. It was one of the 8 Barons' divine artifacts, the summoning demon hand. Just as the summoning demon hand flew out, the magic deity bracelet on Yunsheng's arm also emitted a dazzling light. The magic deity bracelet and the summoning demon hand, 2 of the 8 Barons' divine artifacts, actually emitted light at the same time. Although the light was bright, it was not glaring. The light illuminated the entire magic cave as if it was daytime. In the light, Baby Sheep even heard a clear and pleasant voice that was like the cry of a phoenix. The summoning demon hand and the magic deity bracelet actually resonated. After the resonance appeared, Baby Sheep vaguely saw 2 illusory figures appear in front of its master. It was a white-haired sorcerer and an old man dressed in a red summoner's robe. The 2 of them looked at Yunsheng at the same time. They saw that the one sitting on the ground was a female sorcerer. There was a hint of otherworldly elegance in her gorgeous face. Although she was under the control of the dark power, she still did not give in. I didn't expect that after so many years, there would still be someone in the world who could have both the summoning demon hand and the magic deity bracelet at the same time. Haha, old friend, there's finally someone who can inherit the undead summoning that we created together back then. The two silhouettes were talking to themselves, completely ignoring the vigilant kissing sheep's feelings, as if they were facing a great enemy. Chapter 1131. The sheep looked left and right. It couldn't hear the voices of the two illusory figures. It thought that the two inspectors wanted to harm its master. Bobo, don't harm little master. Bobo sheep didn't care about anything else. It mustered all its strength and shot towards the two illusory figures like an arrow. Who would have thought that Bobo sheep's 1,000-kilogram fall, which was usually 100% accurate, would miss? Bobo sheep couldn't stop in time and crashed into the wall with a bang. The moment its head hit the wall, Bobo sheep suddenly realized that it didn't seem to have hit anything. It had hit nothing. Ghost! Bobo Yang let out a dry howl and then fainted. The two illusory figures turned back to look at Bobo sheep at the same time. That is, it seems to be the world deity of the mortal world. He can even form a contract with a world deity. This person is indeed talented. When our consciousness is about to dissipate and the boundless world is facing a great calamity, it is the will of the heavens to pass down our painstaking efforts. The sorcerer who spoke placed his hand on Yunsheng's forehead. The summoner who was wearing a red summoner's robe started chanting. As the two of them chanted, the mass of black aura on Yunsheng's forehead struggled nonstop and even let out mournful cries. Yunsheng, who was in the middle of her heavenly meditation, seemed to hear two voices, one high and one low. That voice sounded very illusory, but it was also very real. It was as if someone was muttering in her ear. The undead summoning was created by the combined efforts of the Emperor Zhao in Red and I. From now on, you will obtain the power of the undead summoner and become the only remaining undead summoner on the mainland. You have to remember that there are pros and cons to controlling the undead. You have to stick to your beliefs and not forget your original intentions. The voice gradually disappeared. Yunsheng only felt that her forehead was suddenly hot and cold, as if some special power had been injected into it. Her gray Dharma soul, which was originally very unstable, gradually calmed down as well. Yunsheng slowly regained consciousness. When she suddenly opened her eyes, she found that everything in the magic cave had changed. Popping sheep fainted in the corner. Yunsheng's mouth twitched. This Bobo, just a while ago, he was still talking big and saying that he would guard her. In the blink of an eye, he had become like this. Yunsheng stood up and suddenly realized that the dark spring water that was flowing around the cave had disappeared under her feet. What was even more ridiculous was that this disappearance was very thorough. There wasn't even a single drop of spring water on the ground. If it weren't for the fact that the rocks and soil created by Yunsheng's earth spikes were still there, Yunsheng would have thought that she had been teleported to another cave while she was meditating. The magic cave was still a magic cave, but in less than 2 hours, it had become empty, and there was nothing left. Could it be that the dark magic spring had been completely absorbed by her? Yunsheng was very surprised. She examined her Dharma soul again and found that she had broken through to the magic god realm. However, what surprised Yunsheng was that she had clearly only absorbed the power of the dark magic spring, but her Dharma soul, including the other 4 Dharma souls, and even the originally insignificant light soul power, had undergone a qualitative breakthrough in that meditation just now. All of her Dharma souls had fiercely increased by a lot. So strange, how could this be? Yunsheng was curious. Her gaze fell on her magic scepter. When she saw the magic scepter, Yunsheng was shocked again. Her magic scepter actually had an additional ghost imprint where the 7th magic god level soul stone should have been embedded. Yunsheng's magic scepter had been reforged when she broke through to the sanctuary mage realm, and there were already as many as 6 soul stones on it. Now that she had broken through to the magic god level, she should have searched for the 7th soul stone to embed on her magic scepter after leaving the Ghost King cave. However, her magic scepter had undergone a change on its own during this breakthrough. What is this? Yinsheng was puzzled. She touched the ghost imprint with her hand. The instant she came into contact with the imprint, the two voices, one high and one low, sounded in Yinsheng's mind once again. Undead summoning? Yinsheng came back to her senses. Almost unconsciously, her magic scepter moved, and she chanted an unfamiliar summoning incantation. Under her feet, a magic array like a ghost imprint lit up after a moment. Yunsheng's black eyes shone with a strange light. This was the power of undead summoning. Bo, dearest master, Bo has met a ghost. Bo, who had been unconscious on the ground, woke up in a daze. Its first reaction when it woke up was to pounce on Yinsheng. Bo, can you be more promising? This is the Netherworld. It's not a big deal to meet a ghost. To think that you're the senior sister of the Netherworld deity, Yunsheng said angrily. Dearest master, you've broken through to the magic god level? Could it be that those two old ghosts did something to you just now? Bo jumped up and down. It was only when it saw that its master was unharmed that it heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, it also noticed that its master's magic power had become much stronger. Yes, I've also learned a brand new summoning technique. Yunsheng took out the summoning magic hand and magic bracelet with great emotion. If she guessed correctly, when she was in a critical situation when she broke through, the one who helped her was the creator of the magic bracelet and the summoning magic beast, the first magic god, and the first the Emperor Zhao, in red. These two people were once among the strongest in the 8 Barren Lands. Their magic and summoning skills were unparalleled in the world. Who would have thought that as powerhouses, the two of them did not reject each other? Instead, they appreciated each other's talents and created the undead summoning. Undead summoning? Then, my dear master, are you a dark mage god now? Hearing this, all the terror he had felt earlier disappeared in an instant. That's right. It's time to go out and meet that old man, Wan Tianqiu. The Ghost King Cave is the best place to summon undead. Yunsheng chuckled. The man and the sheep left the magic cave. Before leaving the magic cave, Baby Sheep looked back at the magic cave with lingering fear. Seeing the empty magic cave, Popping Sheep lit a candle in his heart for the Ghost King who was already dead. Fortunately, the Netherworld Ghost King was already dead. Otherwise, if he saw that the magic cave that he had painstakingly set up was completely destroyed by the bandit woman, Yunsheng, in less than an hour, he would probably climb out of his coffin in anger. Next, there will be unexpected characters appearing. Let's welcome them with a few monthly votes. Chapter 1132. The moment Yunsheng and Baby Sheep walked out of the cultivation magic array. The cultivation magic array, which was originally filled with dense magic power, collapsed and disappeared without a trace, as if it had never existed. Wan Tianqiu and Tycoon Gold were still fighting. Although it was an eternal life ritual artifact, Tycoon Gold did not gain much of an advantage in the process of fighting with Wan Tianqiu. There were now many sunken wounds on its originally shining purple and gold body. This was undoubtedly the most serious challenge that Tycoon Gold had faced since Yunsheng had refined it. Wan Tianqiu's situation was slightly better, but compared to before, his evil spirit had decreased instead of increasing. It seemed that his evil spirit could not be maintained forever. Once the evil spirit's time was up, the evil spirit warrior's form would also disappear. Yunsheng waved her hand and summoned Tycoon Gold back. Wan Tianqiu's eyes, which were already red from killing, revealed a ferocious look. He pounced on Yunsheng like a hungry wolf. The corners of Yunsheng's lips curled up slightly. She did not even try to dodge. She raised the magic scepter in her hand. On the scepter, which was branded with the evil spirit's brand, the evil spirit's brand suddenly lit up like a soul stone. At Yunsheng's feet, a ferocious image of the king of evil spirits had appeared. The light on the magic scepter was like a small black sun. The image of the king of evil spirits' head caused Wan Tianqiu to freeze in his tracks. He could not help but narrow his eyes. Although he had already lost consciousness, Wan Tianqiu subconsciously sensed that this dark light was unusual. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The black, baleful Yinshi either took the form of skeletons or ferocious beasts as they surged toward Yinsheng. Although it already knew that its master had become a necromancer, seeing so many dark, evil spirits all at once, baby sheeps will still stood up disappointingly. The evil spirit gathered under Yunsheng's feet more and more. Within the demon fiend magic array, Yunsheng's skin was as white as ivory, and her lips were a bright red. Yunsheng's plain summoner robe suddenly turned black. Ghost skeletons appeared on the robe. Between the black and white, she exuded a kind of flirtatious beauty. Summon, king of evil spirits. Yunsheng shouted in a crisp voice. Her black hair danced in the wind, yet there was an indescribable charm to her. Following Yunsheng's chanting, the various types of Yinshi gradually formed a 5-meter-tall evil spirit king. His muscles were the color of blood copper, and each of his muscles was like a small hill. His eyes were red like lanterns, and his upper body was naked. He wore a necklace of bones around his neck. There were many skulls on the necklace. From the looks of it, there were both human and beast skulls. When the evil spirit king came out of the magic array, with every step he took, his whole body exuded an evil spirit. It made people's hearts tremble and their souls tremble. Compared to the evil spirit king summoned by the necromancer summoning spell, Wan Tianqiu was just a mere evil spirit warrior. His aura suddenly weakened a lot. The murderous spirit in Wan Tianqiu's turbid eyes gradually dissipated. Instead, it was replaced by a look of horror. Wan Tianqiu had never imagined that the person he thought he would be able to kill within 10 moves would actually be able to summon the terrifying Spectre King. Was that the power of a human summoner? Wan Tianqiu's movements became hesitant. He suddenly turned around and rushed toward the exit behind him. Obviously, he didn't dare to fight the evil spirit king head-on. However, what Wan Tianqiu didn't expect was that the moment he turned around, the baleful Spectre King's enormous baleful spectre body was already in front of him. The cave, which could only barely fit 2 people, looked extremely narrow in the face of the evil spirit king's huge body, which was more than 5 meters tall. The evil spirit king let out a roar that sounded like a horn. The many human and beast heads on the necklace hanging in front of him moved strangely. The jaws of those human and beast heads moved. They spat out clouds of blood mist from their mouths. The blood mist seemed to have eyes. It surrounded Wan Tianqiu and rushed into his chest. After the blood mist entered his body, Wan Tianqiu's gloomy face flushed red. His facial features, which were no different from those of an evil spirit, were twisted. Crack! It was as if something had been bitten. Wan Tianqiu grabbed his chest with a heart-wrenching pain. He felt as if his heart was being bitten by something. Wan Tianqiu groaned and spat out a mouthful of blood. Wan Tianqiu's flesh and blood quickly shrank. His blood turned black. Soon, his body turned into a wrinkled mummy. Although Wan Tianqiu's evil spirit transformation was powerful, it also had a fatal weakness. Evil spirit transformation was a combat skill that sacrificed one's life force. If it was used up too much, one would eventually become a mummy without flesh and blood. An evil spirit warrior was invincible. His heart was the weakest. Yunsheng didn't know the weakness of an evil spirit warrior. That was why she was forced to retreat. The evil spirit king, as the king of the evil spirits, knew the weakness of an evil spirit warrior well. The blood mist was the evil spirit of heart devouring. It had already eaten up Wan Tianqiu's heart. Wan Tianqiu was killed? That was too fast. Yunsheng still couldn't believe it. She walked forward and checked Wan Tianqiu's body. After checking it carefully, she found that Wan Tianqiu was indeed dead. Yunsheng's black eyes turned golden. She stared at Wan Tianqiu's heart. She found that Wan Tianqiu's heart had disappeared. No, it shouldn't be said that it had disappeared. It had been devoured. The strange blood mist released by the evil spirit king could invisibly enter a person's body. It had no shape or form, but it had terrifying strength. What a terrifying evil spirit. Even Yun Sheng herself didn't expect that the evil spirit king she summoned would have such terrifying strength. Although Yun Sheng had just become an undead summoner, she wasn't familiar with it. This was her first time summoning. She didn't expect that the evil spirit king she summoned would have such terrifying strength. According to the memories left in her mind by the First Lord of Dharma and the Emperor Zhao in red, undead summoners were divided into individual undead summoners and group undead summoners. If she became familiar with it in the future, she could form a powerful evil spirit undead army. Even in the face of thousands of soldiers and horses, Yun Sheng believed that she could command the evil spirit king to kill thousands of soldiers and horses without leaving a trace. Yun Sheng's heart palpitated. She longed for the power of the undead summoning even more. However, she remembered the warning of the two masters from the 8 wastelands. Yun Sheng also understood that she couldn't use the power of the undead summoning too much. Otherwise, she would easily be devoured by the dark power. Chapter 1133. After killing Wan Tianqiu, the king of evil ghosts walked respectfully to Yun Sheng. It knelt on one knee, lowered its head, put its right hand on its bare chest, and saluted to Yun Sheng. That posture was no longer as fierce as when it killed Wan Tianqiu. Yun Sheng was stunned. "What is this?" Yun Sheng was slightly stunned. "Dear master, he is recognizing you as his master." Suddenly, such a big guy appeared and tried to steal his master, so Baby Sheep was a little unhappy. "Alas, dear master is good at everything, but she is too strong." Look, another summoned beast came out. If it goes on like this, Baby Sheep will definitely lose her favor. Baby Sheep felt sorry for himself and forgot that he had been looking forward to Yun Sheng's strength to be stronger so that he could have a chance to compete with that stinky god of hell. Although he was unhappy, Baby Sheep's biggest advantage was that he was optimistic. Anyway, no matter how many magical beasts his master had, Baby Sheep was the most important one. After thinking it through, Baby Sheep was not afraid of the king of evil ghosts. He knew that the king of evil ghosts was formed by the evil spirit of the Ghost King. But he didn't expect that a little ghost king could have so much evil spirit. Baby Sheep was not shy. He flapped his wings and landed on the knees of the king of evil ghosts. One was an ugly evil ghost, and the other was a cute pink sheep. The big eyes of the lantern were facing the small eyes of the black bean. The king of evil ghosts and Baby Sheep did not reject each other. The king of the evil spirits tilted its head and gave Baby Sheep an ugly smile, but it was obviously trying to please Baby Sheep. "Baby Sheep, dear master, this big guy is very powerful, and he is different from the ordinary evil ghosts." After Baby Sheep and the king of evil ghosts had a spiritual sex, he found that this big guy was a typical muscular but simple-minded person. As long as he was trained well, he would definitely be Baby Sheep's, master's right-hand man. Generally speaking, the evil spirit was the most evil power. Baby Sheep had thought that the king of evil ghosts, which was formed by the evil spirit, was also an evil and bloodthirsty person. That was not the case. The baleful energy in the Ghost King cave was different. It turned out that when the Phantasm Ghost King was building the Ghost King cave, he had secretly abducted many magicians, martial artists, and commoners from all over the human world. These people were imprisoned in the Ghost King cave. In addition to excavating the Ghost King cave, they were also responsible for constructing the 4 great magic arrays in the Ghost King cave. Only after the magic array was completed did these people realize that the Phantasm Ghost King had already left a fatal poison in their bodies. One by one, the baleful poison flared up, and they all died in the Ghost King cave. Therefore, they were different from the baleful specters that were formed by the baleful chi. These people were not extremely evil. The baleful specter kings that were formed by their baleful souls were much easier to control. Sob, so pitiful. "Dear master, the king of evil spirits doesn't have a name yet. Why don't we give it a name? How about we call it Blockhead?" When Baby Sheep heard about the king of evil spirits' tragic experience, he gave a loud snort to express his sympathy. "Blockhead? Yunsheng rolled her eyes. How could she summon the majestic king of evil spirits with such a name? However, the problem was that before Yunsheng could object, the king of evil spirits hurriedly nodded its head, indicating that it liked the name very much. Baby Sheep immediately smiled through his tears. He was having a great time playing with the king of evil spirits. After killing Wan Tianqiu, Yunsheng adjusted her breathing for a moment, waiting for someone to come out of the teleportation magic array. However, what surprised Yunsheng was that she waited for a full half an hour. There was no movement at all in the two magic arrays. Those who could escape from Anemone Abyssalis and enter the Ghost King cave in the end were all martial gods. Just now, there were about 12 or 13 people who had entered the teleportation magic array on both sides. Even if there was a powerful ambush or trap at the other end of the teleportation magic array, it was impossible for all of them to be killed in such a short period of time. Not good. Could it be that there were other passageways in the teleportation magic array? Yunsheng's eyelids twitched. She was not in the mood to wait any longer. She had calculated everything, but she had not considered that there might be other passageways in the depths of the Ghost King cave. Yunsheng suddenly thought of the blockhead. It was formed by hundreds and thousands of evil spirits in the Ghost King cave. It should know everything that had happened in the Ghost King cave. Yunsheng's heart skipped a beat. King of evil spirits, let me ask you, how did the phantasm Ghost King die back then? Between the two magic arrays on the left and right, which one is the real corpse of the Ghost King? Yunsheng had originally planned to wait for the people from the 8 counties of the underworld to come out before snatching the hard distress lantern. However, it had been a while since the heroes had entered the 2 teleportation magic arrays, but no one had come out. Yunsheng could not help but have some doubts in her heart. Back then, after the phantasm Ghost King built the Ghost King cave, where did he go? In the end, he died in the hands of someone. Yunsheng guessed that the answer was very likely to be in the 2 teleportation magic arrays. My lord, the last teleportation magic array that the Ghost King entered was the one on the right, the blockhead respectfully replied. His voice was very low. However, the blockhead could only tell Yunsheng that much. He did not know who killed the phantasm Ghost King. After the phantasm Ghost King entered the teleportation magic array on the right, he never appeared again. He never appeared again? What does that mean? Yunsheng could not help but be shocked. The blockhead had existed for as long as the Ghost King cave had existed. However, because there had not been any necromancers before, the blockhead had always been in the form of evil spirits, drifting in the Ghost King cave. The blockhead was very clear about the movements in the Ghost King cave. The only thing that exceeded the blockhead's perception was the 4 teleportation magic arrays. However, one thing was certain. The phantasm Ghost King had entered the teleportation magic array on the right. Since then, he had completely disappeared from the underworld. Whether it was his subordinates or his enemies, none of them were able to find the whereabouts of the phantasm Ghost King. In the past, there had been a few people who had tried to enter the Ghost King cave to find the phantasm Ghost King. However, those intruders either stopped in front of the demigod magic beast arrowtail battle rhinoceros or mysteriously disappeared into the teleportation magic array like the phantasm Ghost King. Over time, for some unknown reason, the news of the phantasm Ghost King's death spread throughout the underworld. In that case, the phantasm Ghost King only disappeared? Also, is there something strange about the teleportation magic array? Yunsheng's gaze fell on the teleportation magic array on the right. You can say that. If even the phantasm Ghost King could not walk out of the teleportation magic array, how could others walk out? The blockhead nodded. Chapter 1134. When Yunsheng heard this, she was half happy and half worried. She was happy because the blockhead's words proved that the Netherworld Ghost King and the Heart's Distress Lantern were definitely left in the teleportation array on the right. The bad news was that even the Netherworld Ghost King couldn't walk out of the teleportation array. If Yunsheng entered it, she might not be able to walk out. Yunsheng had an even worse plan in her heart. That was, the Netherworld Ghost King might not even be dead. 20 years might be a long time for an ordinary person. But for a godlike existence like the Netherworld Ghost King, 20 years was just the blink of an eye. Between not being able to walk out of the teleportation array and having to face the Netherworld Ghost King again, Yinxing didn't know which one she was more willing to face. TSK. What a difficult situation, Yunsheng cursed in her heart. But if she couldn't find the heart's distress lantern, her mother's soul might. Yunsheng didn't dare to continue thinking. If she wasted this chance to find the heart's distress lantern, she didn't know if she would have another chance to come to the Netherworld. Her mother, Hu Jiusheng, would sooner or later die from the exhaustion of her soul. At that time, no amount of water of life could save her. She definitely couldn't let her father experience the pain of losing his wife again. Yin Sheng was deep in thought. Even the talkative kissing sheep was quiet and obediently squatted on Yun Sheng's shoulder. The blockhead stood guard at the side. They all knew that their master was making the most difficult decision. Yun Sheng quickly made up her mind and summoned the beasts in the exquisite beast pagoda. Kissing beasts, you should have heard the blockhead's words. The teleportation array on the right might face an unprecedented crisis. Although you are my beasts, you have always been Yun Sheng's companions. If you don't want to go in with me, I can cancel the contract with you right now. Yun Sheng's face was calm. The sheep and the magical beast stared at each other. Dear master, Bobo is your life-bound magical beast. You can't break the contract with a life-bound magical beast. Bobo will stick to you. Bobo pursed his lips. He didn't want to leave his dear master. Among the rest of the magical beasts, Queen Night Demon giggled, her eyes filled with flirtatious feelings. Master, even the little lambs are so bold. Why would my Night Demon clan be afraid of death? The elven queen brushed her golden hair that was like the waves of the sea. My noble water elf clan is naturally not inferior to the Night Demon clan. The centipede Aunt Jiang and Xiao He couldn't speak, but the centipede Aunt Jiang and Xiao He both walked to Yun Sheng's side and answered their questions with their actions. Although they formed a contract with Yun Sheng for various reasons, they also realized that Yun Sheng was different from ordinary summoners after getting along with each other for many years. Those summoners on the Boundless Land all treated their magical beasts as tools to kill the enemy and win. Only Yun Sheng would treat them as companions. What were companions? Companions were people who were still willing to use their own bodies to block the scythe of the Grim Reaper in the face of life and death. At this moment, the magical beasts of different shapes and races showed an unprecedented unity. They all understood the purpose of their master's trip to the underworld this time. The dangers ahead were unknown, but as long as they put in more effort, their master's chances of rescuing their master's mother would increase. Yin Sheng's throat seemed to be blocked by something. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. She only nodded her head heavily. At a time like this, too many words were no longer useful. After this experience, whether it was Yun Sheng or the magical beasts, they were no longer just summoners and magical beasts to each other. They were each other's companions. After putting the magical beasts back into the beast language ring, Lin Mingya took Popping Sheep and Blockhead to the teleportation magic array on the far right. The teleportation magic array on the right emitted a light like a candle. When Yun Sheng stepped into the teleportation magic array, a strange red light flashed on the originally dim teleportation magic array. Yun Sheng was quickly swallowed up by the teleportation magic array. The passage of the Ghost King cave was peaceful again. Only Wan Tianqiu's desiccated corpse, which had long lost its human form, was still lying on the ground. After about 15.5 minutes, an agile figure appeared in the passage like the wind. Gold eyes scanned the passage, and Dollar's gaze suddenly changed. There were obvious traces of a fierce battle here. A large number of flying ant corpses were piled up in the corner like dust. There were also traces of Dollar's attacks on the walls and the ground. Could it be that Yin Sheng had encountered something? Dollar's heart was in his mouth. Finally, his eyes fell on the desiccated corpse on the ground. Based on the smell, he was sure that it was Wan Tianqiu's corpse. Wan Tianqiu was killed. Dollar examined the wounds on Wan Tianqiu's body. When he saw the cause of Wan Tianqiu's death, Dollar's eyes darkened. This wound was not caused by Yinsheng. It was not caused by the martial gods in the 8 counties of the underworld. One Tian Shou had been killed by the Ghost King. Dollar did not know that Yinsheng had gone from being a sacred discipline king to becoming a necromancer in the underworld and the human world in a few thousand years. She had become a necromancer that had never been seen before. After looking around, Dollar didn't find any more bloodstains. Realizing that Yinsheng was not injured and was at most taken away, Dollar breathed a sigh of relief. He couldn't help but blame himself. If he had known that there was such a powerful enemy in the Ghost King cave, he wouldn't have coveted the power of the Dark Cloud. In just half an hour, Yinsheng had encountered an unprecedentedly strong enemy. Now, where was she being taken to? Who was lurking in the Ghost King cave? Dollar's eyes turned red. There were 3 magic arrays in front of him. One of them was a cultivation magic array, and the other 2 were teleportation magic arrays. If there was no accident, Yinsheng must be in one of the magic arrays. However, which teleportation array was the little wildcat at now? When Dollar was the North Nether King, he was a decisive person. This was the first time in his life that he was faced with a difficult choice. Dollar stopped in front of the 2 teleportation magic arrays on the left and the right for a moment. After turning into a demonic beast, Dollar's sense of smell had become much sharper. But what confused him was that there was no trace of Yinsheng in front of the 2 magic arrays. Or, the designers of the 2 magic arrays had used a certain method to hide the traces of the people who entered the teleportation magic arrays. He thought about it, and finally stepped into the magic array on the left. Late, Happy Lantern Festival. Chapter 1135. After a wave of magic fluctuations, the moment Dollar stepped out of the teleportation magic array, a touch of disappointment flashed across his golden eyes. Oh no, his judgment was wrong. In the surrounding air, there was no familiar scent that belonged to Little Wildcat. Instead, there was the scent of some strong people from the other 8 counties of the underworld. It seemed that those who entered here were the martial gods from the 8 counties of the underworld. It seemed that Little Wildcat had entered the teleportation magic array on the right. Almost without hesitation, Dollar turned around and was about to return to the magic array, ready to turn back and enter the other magic array to catch up with Yinsheng. But at this time, the tip of his nose smelled a trace of blood. The smell of blood was no stranger to Dollar. But in the smell of blood, there was another scent. That scent made Dollar's footsteps freeze in an instant. As if he had been electrocuted, he suddenly turned his head. There were 2 teleportation arrays at the bottom of the Ghost King cave. The one on the right, that Yinsheng had entered, led to an unknown place. The teleportation array that Dollar Yi Biming had entered led to a palace. The reason why Dollar was so shocked was that he was very familiar with this palace. Curtains after curtains, dim lights, and a dilapidated courtyard. Everything was so familiar. Although Dollar Yi Biming thought that he had long forgotten all of this, it was not until he stood here that he realized that everything was still in the deepest part of his memory. This palace awakened the darkest memory in Yi Biming's life. Cold Palace. The second teleportation magic array of the Ghost King cave led to the Cold Palace of the Imperial Palace of Zhou State. No, although he was extremely shocked. But Dollar Yi Biming was not blinded by everything in front of him. Although this place was very similar to the Cold Palace of Zhou State, this place was only built to imitate the Cold Palace of Zhou State. At this time, there was no one in this fake Cold Palace. The strong people from the 8 counties of the underworld who had entered here earlier had disappeared without a trace. A strange feeling grew in Dollar's heart like weeds. No, he couldn't be curious anymore. The Wildcat was still in the hands of others. She might be in danger. Although he did not know who had built a palace that looked exactly like the Cold Palace in Zhou State, Dollar was sure there was no human presence there. Dollar took a step back, but when he tried to enter the teleporter again, he found that the teleporter that he had been able to freely enter was unable to be used again. This was a one-way teleportation magic array. Dollar's expression turned serious. It let out a muffled groan. Did he think that he would be able to trap him here? Yi Biming was not a piece of trash from the 8 counties of the underworld. Perhaps this mysterious teleportation portal could block most of the warriors and mages from the netherworld. But for Yi Baiming, who had a part of the power of the halberd of the divine battle god, it was not impossible for him to tear a crack in this magical barrier. If they wanted to stop him, then they could go to hell with this lousy teleportation array. He raised his forelimbs, and a terrifying divine power surged out crazily from his sharp claws. Dollar's right forelimb was shining with a golden light. It seemed to feel the threat of the divine power of the 8 Barons' divine weapon. The magic power on the teleportation portal began to become violent. Yi Baiming seemed to be piercing through the void, and his right forelimb was about to swing down. But just as Dollar was about to break the barrier, behind him, deep in the palace, there was suddenly a sound of a guqin. It sounded like a flowing stream. There was someone in this palace. This was beyond Dollar's expectation. When he heard the sound of the guqin, Dollar's body shook violently. As if he was possessed, he put down his claws, turned around, and walked in the direction of the sound of the guqin. The sound of the guqin was like a high mountain and flowing water, showing that the person playing the guqin was extraordinary. With every step he took into the palace, Dollar's surprise grew stronger. This place was too similar to the cold palace of Zhou State. But compared to the desolate cold palace, everything in this palace was much more exquisite and gorgeous. If it weren't for the similar layout and coldness of the cold palace, Dollar would never have thought that this was the cold palace. The guqin sound was intermittent, and it led Dollar to the innermost room of the cold palace. Although Dollar had never seen that room with his own eyes, he could determine where it was by relying on his memory and the path he had taken. The cold palace was remote, but it was very spacious. When he was young, Yi Baiming, who was still blind, on the 1st and 15th of every month, he would secretly find his way to the room in the deepest part of the cold palace without telling the palace maids. At that time, Empress would begin to play the guqin. A simple but elegant room appeared in front of him. Outside the door was a pool of purple lotus flowers. The door was open, and a woman was sitting in the room. The woman was wearing a violet gauze dress. The face of the woman in silk clothes was so beautiful that one could not help but lose their breath just by looking at it. There were thousands of beautiful women in the world, but there weren't many who could make people's eyes light up like this flower in front of him. This woman was elegant and beautiful, and there was a hint of luxury in her eyes. If Yi Baiming were in human form, he would immediately blurt out, "Mother." Although he had never seen his mother's face, Yi Baiming knew at first glance that this woman was his mother. His mother, who had died more than 10 years ago, was Empress Li of Zhou State, Li Qingsheng. The woman in front of him was exactly the same as Empress Li in the painting that Yi Baiming had hung in the cold palace of Zhou State. Yi Baiming was also very familiar with the song she played. That was the first song that Yi Baiming had learned to play after learning the guqin. In this world, only Empress Li could play such a song. The woman lowered her head and played the guqin. Her expression was calm, and her long eyelashes were slightly lowered. It was impossible to tell if she was happy or angry. Her eyes, which were 80% or 90% similar to Yi Baiming's, didn't have any human emotions. Her shoulders were thin, and she looked very delicate. She seemed to be completely engrossed and didn't notice the golden demonic beast that suddenly appeared outside. Jean Coin stood outside the room, and his body couldn't help but tremble slightly. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a lamp on Empress Li's guqin table. It was the Heart's Sorrow lamp. Even though he had only seen it once, Dollar recognized the lamp that was just inches away from Queen Li. It was the heart-aching lamp that Yunsheng had come to the underworld in search of. The Heart's Sorrow lamp was lit, and the gentle light enveloped Empress Li's body. It added some gentleness to Empress Li's slightly indifferent face. Empress Li didn't seem to notice that someone had barged in. She continued to play the guqin. Yi Baiming unconsciously walked forward. He couldn't help but raise his hand, wanting to gently touch his mother. However, just as the claw approached Queen Li, the gold coin Yi Baiming missed. Chapter 1136. Dollar's claws pierced right through Empress Li's body. Her body was ethereal, as if it would turn into dust in an instant. She was clearly not a living person. She was a ghost. How can this be? Yi Baiming was shocked. Why would his mother's soul be here? How dare you? Who dares to trespass into the Ghost King Palace? Behind him, an old but somewhat familiar voice alerted Yi Baiming. The heart-distressed lantern suddenly flew out with a whoosh and landed in the hands of the person who had just entered. Dollar took a closer look. The person standing at the door was Shun Jizi, the person who had appeared at the Magical Abilities Pavilion and tricked Yunsheng once. Yunsheng gritted her teeth and wanted to take revenge. Why would Shinjizi appear here? What was his relationship with Empress Li? Dollar's mind flashed with a ridiculous thought. Could it be that the builder of the Cold Palace was Shinjizi? No, Dollar thought again. He recalled that Shinjizi had said Ghost King Palace. This was the Ghost King Palace. The Ghost King Palace built in the Ghost King Cave. Could it be that this palace, which was almost the same as the Cold Palace in Zhou State, was built by the Phantasm Ghost King? Only the Phantasm Ghost King would be able to create such a miraculous magic array in the underworld without anyone noticing. Yi Baiming had a clever mind. Combined with Empress Li's situation, he finally understood why the Ghost King Palace was built here. The Ghost King Cave was located in the Ghost Water Stream. It was very close to the Demon Suppression Stone Tablet in the underworld. The yin energy here was very dense. For a ghost, it was undoubtedly the best place to live. Empress Li Qingsheng was just an ordinary person. She was born in a family of merchants. She was not a powerful warrior or magician. She had been dead for more than 10 years. If there was no special method to maintain her, her yin energy would have been long gone. But why would the soul of Empress Li Qingsheng appear here? Generally speaking, only those who had committed grave crimes in the mortal world would be captured by the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon and sent to the underworld. Empress Li's life was full of ups and downs. She was a pitiful person who was harmed by Yi Chantian and He Yao, but she wasn't a bad person. Also, what was her relationship with the Netherworld Ghost King who built the Ghost King Palace? Gold Coin Yi Baiming's heart was filled with doubts. Shinjizi heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Empress Li was unharmed. He didn't expect that it was a demonic beast that could break the inhibition and enter the depths of the Ghost King Palace. The Ghost King Palace looked ordinary, but it was actually filled with traps. Moreover, it was located in the deepest part of the Ghost King Cave. Along the way, there were many restrictions. Earlier, when those reckless experts from the 8 counties of the underworld barged in, they were killed by the restrictions set up by the Phantasm Ghost King. Not even a trace of them was left. Who would have thought that this demonic beast would be able to walk in unimpeded? Shinjizi didn't know that Dollar hadn't encountered a single restriction along the way. The reason he was able to avoid these restrictions was because of Empress Li's zither music. TSK, I remember now. You're the demonic beast of the female mage who threatened this old man. Outside the Ghost King Cave, you were also the one who lured the arrowtail battle rhinoceros away. Shinjizi sized up Dollar. He had an impression of Dollar's powerful aura due to his unique golden scales. He also noticed that Dollar's aura was much stronger than before. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. It seemed that the demigod rank arrowtail battle rhinoceros was actually killed by this demonic beast. After Shinjizi released the map of the Ghost Water Stream, he had been hiding in the Ghost Water Stream, waiting for the heroes to fall into his trap. He also noticed that this demonic beast with the mark of a felon had been by Yunsheng's side since a long time ago. He just didn't expect Dollar to be so strong. Dollar's throat rolled as he let out a low roar. If Baby Sheep was here, he might be able to act as a translator. This king also remembers you. You're the old man who tricked little Wildcat. Remember, in this world, if anyone dares to trick this king's woman, only death awaits them. Since you've killed the arrowtail battle rhinoceros, your power must have reached demigod rank or even higher. Shinjizi looked at Dollar with interest. This demonic beast was not to be underestimated. It could understand human language, and its intelligence was much higher than ordinary demonic beasts. Shinjizi could also sense that this demonic beast was a dual cultivator. You must have accidentally entered this place, right? You must be looking for your master. Shinjizi hated Yun Sheng very much. That little girl was the first person who dared to bargain with him in all the years he had been in the underworld. Dollar's eyes flashed with murderous intent. There was no trace of the phantasm Ghost King in the Ghost King Palace. That meant the person who kidnapped Yun Sheng was the phantasm Ghost King. What was in the teleportation array on the right? Dollar's heart was filled with worry. Right now, he just wanted to kill Shinjizi as soon as possible. Although Shinjizi looked like an old man, he could control the heart lamp. His power could not be weak. He was probably on par with the phantasm Ghost King. Then give me your soul, Shinjizi said. His eyes flashed fiercely as the heart lamp at his hand spun. The strange palace lamp shot out a strange red light. It was about to cover Dollar. Gold Coin Biming had seen the phantasm Ghost King use that lamp 500 years ago on Taiyuan Mountain. The most powerful thing about the heart lamp was its light. That light had once sucked away the soul of the Zhao states, the Emperor Zhao, in red. This old man wanted his soul. What a fool's dream. The heart lamp was very important to Yun Sheng. Empress Li's strange behavior must have something to do with it. He had to take back the heart lamp. However, Dollar was not the Emperor Zhao in red. His golden eyes focused, and he suddenly roared to the sky. The red light of the heart lamp that was about to cover Dollar seemed to have entered a blind spot. A black shadow appeared on Dollar's body. That shadow was like a natural barrier blocking out the light. The second inheritance of the 8 barren black Qilin tribe, the Qilin's puppet. Shinjizi's murderous face showed a trace of confusion. He looked at Dollar carefully. This golden demonic beast was from the black Qilin tribe. Yi Biming was shocked. Shinjizi recognized the inheritance of the Bakura orcs. Could it be that he was also from the Bakura orcs? Looking at Dollar's eyes, Shinjizi saw the same emotions as a human. Then he understood something. Chapter 1137. God Machine Z wasn't an ordinary person, and he could tell that Dollar wasn't using an ordinary skill. Kirin's puppet was one of the rarest skills in the Kirin inheritance. It could cast any skill or spell that wasn't a God-class skill or a God-class spell. The Kirin's puppet could even resist the light of the Heart Distress Lantern. In Shinjizi's memory, not many people had received the Kirin's puppet in the second inheritance, even in the Black Kirin tribe. In the history of the Kirin tribe, there were less than 10 people who had received the Kirin's puppet. The second inheritance was the Kirin's puppet. Only the strongest Bakura orcs in history, 8 Baron Kirin King Yishio, and the current leader of the Kirin tribe, Blacklight. You're actually someone from the Black Qilin tribe. It's a misunderstanding. It's really a case of water rushing against the Dragon King's temple. You don't recognize your own family. I'm from the 8 Desolaces continent. Looking at your appearance, you already have spiritual awareness. However, you haven't gone through the beast god's baptism, so you're still in beast form. Shinjizi finally saw that this golden magical beast was a Qilin. Even though the beast clans of the 8 Wastelands and the human clan had always been at odds. However, the 8 Wastelands beast clans also admitted that the human race was much more advanced than the 8 Wastelands beast clans in terms of intelligence and country management. Back when the 8 Baron tribe was the leader, the beasts used a special method to transform into humans. It was a tradition that had been maintained to this day. But not all beasts could transform into humans. Some of the weaker beasts stayed in beast form their entire lives. Only a small portion of the beast race with noble bloodlines and the rulers of the upper class could be baptized by the beast god Altar at a young age. They could transform into human form from a young age and maintain their human form. They could only transform into beast form if they were in a constant state of battle. Green, purple, and black Lin were the latter. After transforming into human form, the beasts looked exactly the same as ordinary humans, even if they stood in a crowd. Shinjizi saw that Dollar had a mind, but he couldn't transform into a human. He thought it was because he was a commoner and hadn't been baptized by the beast god Altar. Dollar didn't say anything, and he simply nodded in agreement with God Machine Z. When Shinjizi heard this, he pulled out a crystal and gave it to Dollar. He said, "This is a spirit speech crystal. If a beast has a mind of its own, it will be able to speak like a human." The variety of magic crystals on the 8 desolate continent was much more abundant than on the boundless continent. This spirit language crystal could be considered an all-purpose translation device that could convert all kinds of beast languages. Therefore, when the descendants of the Bakra orcs came to the boundless land, they could freely communicate with the human race. Dollar guessed God Machine Z's identity wasn't simple, but he didn't expect people from 8 Baron to have infiltrated the infinite and the underworld. Without hesitation, Dollar picked up the spirit word crystal. When the crystal was in his hand, Dollar felt a cold magic power enter his body. His mouth was now able to speak. No matter what, he had to find out more about the other party first. "Who are you?" This was the first time Dollar had spoken since he had become a gold Kirin. In the past, aside from Baby Sheep, who was a universe god beast, no one could understand him. "I am the second priest of the 8 Baron beast god, Alter, God Machine Z. I'm also the person in charge of the God Machine Pavilion in the underworld. What is your name? You don't seem to be from the Black Kirin tribe." God Machine Z saw Dollar put away his combat power, and he thought he really was a Bakra Orcs. He wanted to win him over. God Machine Z was the priest of the beast god Alter, and he was very respected there. But over the years, the Bakra Orcs had become stronger. They had become a threat to the beast god Alter. Shinjizi and the other priests of the beast god Alter had been dissatisfied for a long time. The beast god Alter was especially angry and resentful towards the beast god tribe of the 8 Wilderness. However, due to the fact that the clan leaders of the orc tribes were all very powerful, the high priests had been cultivating their forces and preparing to replace the clan leaders of the orc tribes, even though they didn't do anything on the surface. Among them, the priests were most worried about the Black Kirin tribe. The reason was because Hei Yao of the Black Kirin tribe was very strong. But because the Black Kirin tribe was very united and loyal to Hei Yao, the beast god Alter couldn't find a chance. But in the past 2 years, God Machine Z had a chance. It was said that Hei Yao was injured when he invaded the Boundless Continent. Hei Yao was injured, and when he returned to the 8 Baron Continent, he brought back a long-lost illegitimate son. The illegitimate son was strong, but he was cold. As soon as he returned, Hei Yao passed the position of vice patriarch to him. This matter caused a huge uproar in the Black Shielan tribe. In the Black Shielan tribe, many people were complaining. Hei Yao didn't care. He had been in seclusion for the past few years to heal. The leader's affairs were handed over to his daughter, Hei Linlin, and his illegitimate son. God Machine Z thought that if he sent the baptized Dollar to the Black Kirin tribe and let him challenge Hei Yao's position would be shaken. Of course, God Machine Z didn't tell Dollar about his plans. In his opinion, Dollar was just a demon who had been bewitched by a human magician. He should be easy to fool. He didn't know that Dollar was already on guard against his schemes. He knew that God Machine Z was very cunning. He must have been on good terms with him because of his strength. Looking at God Machine Z, he didn't know about his relationship with Hei Yao. Dollar didn't know that Hei Yao had 2 illegitimate sons on the Boundless Continent. It was a secret. The beast god Alter and the other tribes didn't know. This was good. He could pretend to be on good terms with this old man and see why someone from the beast god Alter would appear in the underworld. I am Dollar. I have been living in the human world. A few years ago, the relationship between the Bakra orcs and the humans worsened, so I was forced to go to the underworld. On the way, I met my master. Dollar's words were 30% true and 70% false. Even a sly old fox like Shinjizi couldn't see any flaws in the plan. So it's Brother Dollar. With your strength, you don't need to be under a human summoner. If you are willing, I can take you to Ba Huang Continent. That is where the demon beasts truly live. Shinjizi now believed Dollar's words. Dollar saw that he was fooled, so he asked again, "If there is such a place, I am willing to go. But Master Priest, why are you in the underworld?" You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.